Go hold on here. Oh, the dream. Where are we? There we are. Had to mute Skype. Oh, Skype, you so Skypey. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is Friday, June the 2nd, 2017. We have rolled into June, which means in another 3 months, Canada will finally get summer for 4 days. It's coming soon. Brace yourself. Those 4 days are coming, and then we're going to roll directly back into winter and continue the salt mines from there. Ladies.
Didn't you hear? We pulled out of the Paris Accord, so now you get 5 days of summer.
Oh, and then we follow it up with nuclear winter. Let's go.
You're welcome, Canada. You're welcome.
You're welcome. We're ready for nuclear winter because we're already in 6 months of winter out of the year anyway, so it's all good. Bring it on. What you got? All right, I'm gonna press this button. We're gonna see if everything is actually going to work when we press this button. Will it happen? Is everything okay? Oh my goodness. Other than me being blue like I'm in a hit early 2000s single, we are off to the races. Let me just go whoop. Something like that. Close enough. Ladies, how are you two doing today? Mr. Panic. We didn't get to talk much about this last week because Jeff literally took up 5.5 hours showing us the craziest collection of video games that he has ever pulled down in one sitting. We never got to talk about the fact that that you picked up a little something of your own there last week, and you've been getting more use of it in the last few days. There it is, which plays to nobody on iTunes, but right now he's holding up his HTC Vive. So I'm gonna ask
the mystery.
I'm gonna ask you, how has it been? Because you were the first of us three to get in on the Vive. Jeff has the PlayStation VR. You're the first, and I have to also ask, did you actually go through the setup of putting like the sensors in position and all that stuff, and what's the experience been like?
So it came in on Wednesday before the podcast last week, and I was super excited. Like, you know how you had that N64 kid when he got the N64 on Christmas and he was like screaming? I was really excited when it showed up. And then I opened the box and I looked at it, and it was like Wednesday. I just worked a full day and I looked at it. And I'm just like, yeah, this isn't happening today. This probably isn't happening tomorrow either. I'm probably just going to do this on like Saturday or something. And I'm not going to knock the product. Like, for a version 1 product, it's fantastic. I'm enjoying it a lot. It has all the drawbacks I expected, but it's really fun. I'll talk a little bit about the games maybe a bit later on. But it's just so many wires. Like, there was like 4 power adapters, USB cables. It's just a lot of stuff. You can probably see if you're on the actual live stream, there's like a black cable hanging down from the ceiling behind me. That's from one of the lighthouses. And then I had the other lighthouse, which is directly in front of me, which was pretty much like a life or death situation to get up there. Because if I fell to the left, I'd fall out my window, which was about 10 stories up. And if I fell to the right, I would fall on my computer desk and all my computer stuff. And I was standing on a windowsill for a window bay that's like my height, 6 inches wide. Figured, you know what? I've had a good run.
I feel like of those two options, falling on your computer stuff is still totally the best of those two worlds. Because I'm going to say, as much as I love my computer stuff, 10 stories gonna end me a lot faster than laying on top of my monitor.
I don't know, man. I feel like I could probably, if I flap my wings enough, I played enough PUBG, that I might be able to land properly. So yeah.
Start flapping crazy.
I played 4 games so far. I have not busted out Elite Dangerous, even though I have like the sticks and everything. I'll do that later. I played Space Pirate Trainer, which is probably one of my favorite games so far. It's just target drones. I got the Vive mainly for soundboxing, so I can get moving and do a little bit more exercise. That game is surprisingly and stupidly simple, but it's really fun. It's just a rhythm game where you pretty much have to like punch the notes as they come in, and it will play any song from like YouTube, and it will dynamically generate the game for you. And it's got voice control, so I can be like, I want to play, you know, Tearing Up My Bass by MaximusBlack, and it will generate it for me. So It's pretty cool. And then the other two, which were more substantial games, was Subnautica, which is like a survival game made by the guys who made Natural Selection. That was the only game I got nauseous while playing it. It's seated VR, and it's like one of those like survival games. And it was just really weird because like I'm moving around. The controls were super intuitive, but it was just very like I felt nauseous after like 45 minutes to an hour of it. And actually, like that was like the one game I had to stop. And then I'm sure a bunch of you have seen me on Steam playing Star Trek Bridge Crew.
Yes, that's the one I wanted to hear about. How has it been on the bridge of your own starship?
The game is I don't know what the staying power is going to be. But that being said, it's super fun, like surprisingly fun, and it's really well executed. The graphics kind of suck, but I kind of expected that. But it's relatively seamless. Like I was able to jump in and start playing with people on the internet, like the VR experience of just playing with people really quickly. And the controls worked really well. I literally have to hold just both controllers, and then you pull the trigger to like activate, and then you can just like touch things on the control panel, and like all the panels in front of you, they more or less just work. My only qualm with the game is it's a little bit simple. It's not as like complex to say like Artemis Bridge Simulator, which is another similar type of game.
Right.
But, like it's super immersive. Like I was sitting there and I'm like, this is really cool. Like I'm sitting on the bridge and the game evolves as you're playing with people. And like I've had some really professional crews, which, you know, the captain's like all formatted and it plays really well and the environment meshes together. And then I've had people like Jeff who are just hilarious and super crazy. And you know, the ship may explode, but the game itself ends up being really fun. So, you know, it's an interesting experience. So, like, I'm hoping Ubisoft does more with it. But that being, it's Ubisoft, so you know they're probably gonna fuck it up. But it's a good launch title. HTC's including it with the Vive now, and I think that's definitely like a really good move, because it's one of the it's like a game that's very intuitive. A lot of people can relate to it, and you can just kind of get in and play. It doesn't like bog you down in the minutia of Star Trek. Like there's 4 tutorials for each of the roles, and you just play. You know, you can master the game probably within about an hour, and then you can get, you know, you can play games with people really quickly and just get used to it.
Awesome. Sounds like I mean, I'm not big in the VR thing. Obviously, I'm not all that interested in it, especially in version 1. But I think the Vive was like, yeah, exactly. But I think the Vive was probably the closest that we were going to get to.
Yeah, like hardware wise, there is definitely like a screen door effect. The headset's kind of tedious. The wire on the back of it's annoying, and those are kind of things I knew walking into it. But it's one of those things I've been always wanting to do. So I'm just like, you know what, I'll just pull the trigger. You know, I'm always been an early adopter, so might as well. I would say if anyone's like on the fence about it, wait until Gen 2. Wait until the wireless stuff comes out. You'll probably enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be it. I'm just scared when they go wireless. Those things already weigh a pretty hefty amount to begin with.
They stealth, because I've used the Vive headsets before. They kind of stealth released another version in the middle. And I actually ended up getting one of the newer ones without realizing it. But it's lighter than the original. It's like 10-15% lighter. And they also changed the wire. So instead of like 3 or 4 wires coming out of it, you have the one wire for the 3 ports, and then you just have like a little short headphone dongle so you can attach whatever you want earbud wise. So it's nice. It's like actually a lot less neck fatigue than the older headset. I was surprised that little weight reduction had that much of an impact.
Yeah, for sure. And Mr. Black, I only was at your house not even 3 hours ago, so we're caught up, but nobody else is caught up. So what's exciting in your life in the last week since we've been on the podcast?
Not too much. All that retro stuff that I talked about last week, I went and sold pretty much all my doubles, and yeah, I've just been kind of chilling, enjoying the nice days when they're here, and you know, chilling a little bit before the RuneScape grind here on Sunday.
Oh, the Sunday dream.
Yeah, just having my last
RuneScape.
Yeah.
RuneScape's coming back, boys. Oh my goodness, you're almost there though. You're almost at the end of it all. You're not gonna have to do too much more RuneScape, and then you're just gonna have to put up with maybe 3, 4 years of people asking you why you're not playing RuneScape. I mean, that's not really a huge hurdle to get over top of. It'll be perfectly fine. We've got a fair amount of stuff to talk about. But before we do, of course, let's at least quasi start the show. Mr. MaximusBlack. Hit me up with the sound of attempting to climb out of silver in Heroes of the Storm.
Yo, guys, just push bottom. The fucking keep is down. No, bro, what the fuck? No, fucking Christ, son of a bitch. Learn how to play, Jesus, fuck.
Can I interrupt for a second and kind of switch this up too? But Adam, can you hit us up with the same noise?
Sure. Guys, top and bottom are pushing. We have every camp on the map. We can win. We're 2 levels up. We're talent up. It's fine. Just go. No, not the fuck. Don't do the fucking boss. It's not time to do the boss. You fuck.
You gotta get the boss.
No, stop. No, you're throwing. Oh, you fuck.
Oh,
fuck
why
you.
the fuck didn't you come here? You fucking threw.
Fool.
God damn it. You should have came with the team we fucking called. We fucking called boss. You suck. Reported.
Every time.
Accurate.
Time. I cry.
Accurate.
Silver boss throws. I want a T-shirt that's just about silver boss throws because it's no joke. 80% of every it's all the time. It's just boss throw. It's fuck it. Who wants to win? Let's just go do boss because it's up. It's fucking
I had
terrible.
already forgotten about it, dude. Let's just move on.
Let's move on.
About it, and you've
We need to get some blood pressure in there. Let's pump it.
we need to wake up. Obviously, that was the way to do it. But no, we've got lots of good stuff to talk about this week. And first up, I wanted to talk
about 2 things on this list. So this ought to be fun.
Well, of course. The first one is Jeff's favorite topic, and that's the Nintendo Switch is back in the news, boys. But it's fun because Nintendo is starting to let us all see what it's going to be like playing with the Switch online. How exciting and mobile it's going to be, because only 5 months ago, Reggie Fils-Aimé was just pandering to the masses with, oh, believe us, it's going to be great. You're going to use your cell phone because you're already going to be out and playing with the Switch when you're on like the train to work and everything's going to be magnificent. You're going to use your voice communications on your phone through our service. It's going to be amazing. And then they released pictures like 2 days ago of the voice communication setup for Splatoon 2, and it hurt me in ways I didn't know I could be hurt. I was feeling it in places I didn't know I had the feels.
I believe we classified it as advanced level stupid and MBA level stupid.
It's really... correctly. Oh, it's advanced levels of stupid beyond belief. Absolutely. I can't even...
Like the wiring, I feel like someone's going to choke themselves while trying to use this. Like they're going to have someone who accidentally strangle themselves while trying to use voice chat on Splatoon because they turned too fast or something.
Jeff, have you seen this thing yet?
No.
Just click those links that are there. You're going to want to see this because it's absolutely fucking beautiful. It might be...
You connect your phone to a box. You connect the box to the headphones. Then you connect the box to the Switch also, and you have to carry it all around while you have the headset on. I'm not actually sure where the controller fits into this, like if the Switch is in your hands or on the TV. I was kind of looking at it, and I'm like, yeah, someone's going to die.
It's so dumb. And you know what? The scariest part about this is that this isn't being made by some random peripheral manufacturer that's just slapping some shit together, all right? This is being made by Hori, who anybody who's in the fighting game community or anything like that, Hori is one of the most respected gamepad and fight stick makers in the world, if not the most respected. I mean, there's only Hori and maybe 1 or 2 other people that, you know, people would trust more, perhaps. And so they're making this product. The dongle looks like one of the Squid Kid type arrowy things, I guess, was the idea. Yeah, it's like this weird arrow. So it's not even like just a rectangle, which would have been so much more space efficient, but fuck it. And like Panic was saying, so you get this headset that looks like a slightly better, but not by much version of what you got with the original Xbox Live headset. that you
know
strap
those
to
old
your
headphones you
head.
got with like Discmen where you had like the ear clips and then
Yeah!
just like a little thing that
This
sat on
is like
your
the
ear,
Sony
and then
Walkman behind the
strap goes around
head.
your back.
Yeah,
that's what
that's basically what it is. And they've got this the microphone out. That straps in. It's the Polygon link, Jeff. So that straps in.
Yeah, I clicked. Sorry to interrupt. I clicked on it.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Is it the second? Is it the? There's a bunch
It's
of
the
videos
Polygon
on this page.
It's the Polygon link. Just scroll down. Yeah, Polygon link.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. My bad.
Yeah, so you're gonna see it in all of its glory. So the headset clips into the pointed part of the arrow. Jeff's face. Just
like, wait, how do I wire this?
He wasn't even aware of his own face, just disgust just written all over his face as soon as he saw it. And then two cables come out of the flat end of the arrow, one going to your cell phone and the other going to the Switch. So all of this just to have voice communication because they were too dumb to just put a jack on the godforsaken fucking Switch itself. And it's so cumbersome. You now have a cell phone, a headset, and the Switch involved, and they were talking about
retarded, dude. That's actually retarded. I'm looking at this diagram.
NBA level stupid, man. NBA level. Like someone had to go to school to get this stupid.
Oh man. And but I can't even blame I can't blame Hori.
Just one game, right?
I'm sure it'll probably be for others, but this is for Splatoon so far.
Anything that has voice communications, this is how it's going to have to be because there's no jack on the Switch for it. It just so happens that this is a Splatoon 2.
They couldn't do the freaking like headphone microphone thing with the third ring on the headphone jack. Like really?
It's not like the Switch is a small thing. I mean, this motherfucker is like 7 inches long.
Big, but like a phone does it where you have like the 3 prongs on the headphone jack. Or one of them is the microphone. Just do that.
How complicated can it?
I mean, hey, you know what? It's whatever because who the fuck uses voice activation for their video games? Who uses this shit? Does this even matter? This is absolute garbage. This looks like fucking garbage. It looks stupid. I don't even know how they even draw that out and think it's a good idea to release that to the public. Yeah. I mean, it's just
I want to know the guy who said, yeah, let's go with this. You know, this is a brilliant idea. This is how we're going to sell this to people. We're going to build this and they will buy it.
It looks like some shitty, like something like you'd see in Jet Set Radio Future from 15 years ago. I don't even know what the middle thing is, just where everything connects. That thing looks like to be the size of fucking an iPhone 6S Plus. You've got the goddamn Switch and you get your cell phone. I mean, I
can't even be mad at Hori because Nintendo went to Hori and said, okay, this is what we have and we need this to work. Like, there's not really that many different ways they can fucking make this work.
Hori can eat my asshole. That's what Hori can do.
Because the phone has to be involved in the loop. If this was just simply plugging a fucking headphone in, it's whatever. But because Nintendo needs the cell phone to be part of it, because they're offloading all of their online connectivity shit to smart devices and not having it natively on the Switch, this has to happen. Now, my question is, if you're out in a park somewhere and you don't have Wi-Fi, like, does the Switch can't play online multiplayer.
Eclipse to play the fucking Switch, all right? You need a fucking an eclipse that happens once every 17 years on the 19th day of the third month.
I'm just curious.
Stupid.
If you're playing this multiplayer and you're using this whole setup and it's supposed to be for being on the go, like the Switch, to my knowledge, does not have any data attached to it, so you can't do that, and it would kill your data anyway. The phone, so the idea is, this is what I'm thinking of, right? If you're going to play multiplayer, you need to be Wi-Fi, so you're sitting in a Wi-Fi zone anyway, so why is the cell phone so fucking important in this mobile multiplayer scenario? You're going to be in a position where you're going to need fucking Wi-Fi. It's not like you're running off of mobile data to make this shit happen, and if you are, you're getting fucked. So,
I mean, they're even in this photo here, they're missing a book bag. Because you got to fucking carry everything.
Remember
there's
that?
No, like, this is just stupid. This is just so stupid.
Can we move on to the next part of the Switch? This is just getting stupider.
This is
Okay.
this is just so beyond dumb. It just doesn't even make sense. Thank God that nobody. You know what? Funny true story here because I finally hooked up my Nintendo Switch that I
here we go.
And I played it for 4.5 hours, and I played Zelda Breath of the Wild. And
You ran off a cliff and rage quit.
I fucking hated it. It didn't know if it wanted to be Dark Souls. It didn't know if it wanted to be Zelda. It didn't know what it wanted to be. It was an ugly ass game. It looks like it was built for the Wii U and they slapped it on the Switch so they could fucking sell a console.
You lasted longer
and
than
at 4.5 hours I played that shit. Hey, 4.5 hours I played that shit and I fucking sold the Switch the next morning for $500 and 12 N64 games. I never want to see the Switch again. I gave it an honest try. The red and blue variant of it is a pretty ass looking controller. It's a cool looking console, but the thing's a pile of asshole.
I watched that clip. I watched that clip and I just watched you walk off a fucking cliff and die. And it was one of the funniest things I've ever fucking seen in my entire life. Just literally the rage was so pure and true. It wasn't theatrical rage. I actually watched you lose 5 years of your life.
It was done.
It was
incredible. At that
incredible.
moment, it was done. It was so done, dude. I had to do updates because the frame rate was so shit. The main story. Okay, here we go. The main fucking story. All right. I want to know something here, Nintendo. I want to know for all you Zelda fanboys out there. All right. We finally get a Zelda with some voice acting. Voice acting isn't horrible. It's not bad. It's okay. It's serviceable. But why in the fuck can you not voice act the entire main storyline? Why is it that I only get voice acting on certain cutscenes? Everything else, it's like that stupid fucking ukulele game where it's like, and then you've got to read a bunch of dialogue, and then the next scene, finally, there's this old woman's like, I remember the time back in the day when the 4 different seasons were there. And you're like, okay, this is cool, but where in the fuck is the rest of the voice acting? Nintendo, if this is the game you're going to push, this is the game that you're going to sell with all your Switches, you can't even afford to pay a voice actor to put on there? I had some fucking idiot in my stream go, well, Jeff, the game, it's only this big. There's not enough space on there for all the voice acting to go on for the main quest. That right there was his rebuttal for me. That was his rebuttal. That was it. That's all he had for me, is it doesn't fit on the cart.
Jeff, you want to know why they couldn't do it? Because too much time had to go in to generating locations to hide the 900 Korok seeds.
Oh my god, dude.
That's where all the time and energy went.
It's
900 Korok seeds.
It's inexcusable. Your biggest franchise that the goddamn console has outside of Mario, and the only thing that's selling the Switch, the only thing, it was like a 1-to-1 ratio. Basically, every person that bought a Switch got Zelda. Not only because it was the only damn game available pretty much worth playing, but it's really their mainstay. It's what sells shit. How in the fuck, if you're going to bring voice acting, that you're going to skimp out and you're not even going to voice act 80% of the goddamn main story? It's ludicrous. Why? You're a fucking billion-dollar company. Stop. The madness.
You want to know what the real reason is? What I imagine the real reason is for why not everything was voice acted. If it wasn't predetermined that was going to be the case regardless, is that this is one of those games that Nintendo is bridging 2 console generations with, and its development got completely fucking halted in a number of ways when they decided that they were going to port this bad boy to the Switch instead of to release it on the Wii U ages ago, and it's just been a bunch of development time dumped into that instead of the important shit to make the game better than it already is. Now, granted, the game, in my estimation, having not played it, is good but not great by any means, and should have had more care for being a Zelda game by Nintendo, and I agree 110%. But I've got more heinous and ridiculous things to talk about than Zelda, because remember when we first talked about the Switch's online thing where they said, we're going to pay, you're going to pay for the online stuff, and then once a month we're going to let you have a game that only works for that 1 month, and then you have to go buy it later on, instead of getting like games for gold like Xbox has or whatever for PlayStation has the same idea. So they've changed their mind, which is a good thing because that was one of the worst ideas I've ever heard in my entire life. Only perhaps topped by that new headset. Oh, thank you for that advertisement, GameSpot. So their follow-up to this is instead, you are going to get access to a bunch of retro titles for as long as you are a subscriber to the service. Okay? They also released the amount of money that you're going to pay for this service, which is super reasonable at $4 for 1 month, $8 for 3, and $12 for 20. That's stupid cheap.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Which is great because, in all honesty, there's probably going to be 3 games in the course of the next 7 years that you actually have to play online. So that's whatever. The thing is, they've changed their mind to do this thing where, like I said, you get access to this stuff. The names or the games that they name dropped off the rip were things like Super Mario Bros. 3, okay, sure. Balloon Fight, dope. Dr. Mario, okay. Those are the 3 that they chose to name drop. But this is the important thing in this news story. A lot of people are reading this thinking they're going to be getting virtual console, like access to virtual console for their $20 or whatever for the entire year and just be able to play these games whenever they want. But Nintendo's being super vague, as usual, about all of this shit because they're not saying it's virtual console. They're saying that select games are going to be available to you at all times. They're going to choose which games these are, and they're going to be adding features or whatever to these games, I guess, like multiplayer online for Balloon Fight, I imagine, or something along those lines.
Probably just an online leaderboard. That's it.
Something like that. and they still haven't, after this announcement, we still don't know if the Switch is ever going to get virtual console. We still don't know. And that bothers me so much.
I just want to be honest here. All right. I just want to be totally honest.
We've never been honest here before, Jeff, so this would be an absolute groundbreaking scenario.
Yeah, I know I can get a little animated and a little fired up, and sometimes I can stretch things. But I can honestly say this, now that I've played the Switch and all this stuff that is coming out with the Switch, I want to have a moment of silence for everybody's money who bought the fucking console. And you guys, if there's anybody out there that is thinking, you know what, I really want to Switch for Christmas, I really want to, or I'm thinking about picking one up this summer when they become available again or whenever I can get my hands on one, don't do it. Don't buy a Switch. Wait until Gen 2 of the Switch. It has got a lot of promise because the console does have promise. It is a nice looking handheld. It feels great. The controller is kind of meh. There's fucking 18 buttons on the goddamn controller, and all of which you got to use for Zelda. Literally stupid. And on the inside in the menus, they actually have it like menus where you change the jump button and change other buttons because the ones that they mapped in there are so awful that they must have known that people are going to be like, I do not want to play Zelda like this. Is horrible. The controls are god-awful. If you are going to buy one, and God forbid you already did, go and get yourself one of those game pads or whatever the hell, those classic controllers, because when you're holding it like a regular-ass controller, the shit is awkward. Your thumbs are in weird positions. It's smaller than fucking Adam's penis. It's not a very good
tiny.
system. It's really not. It's not a good system, and I'm not saying this biasly. I've now played it. I've now owned it, and I've now sold it. It's not good. It's horrible. The shit they're coming out with all the time. Look at this gimmicky garbage they come out with. I mean, they don't know what they're doing with it. Wait till Gen 2. I'm sure the battery life will be better. I'm sure the online shit will be better. I'm sure there'll be plugins for sound and microphones and all that fun stuff, because if you buy one now, in another year and a half, you're going to be trying to get rid of your old one. Ain't nobody going to want it, or it's going to sit on a shelf and you're going to go out and spend another $400 or $500 on Gen 2. I digress. That's it. It's garbage. It's really that bad. It's really that bad. And everything you can play on the Wii U. Like any game worth playing, you can just play on the Wii U, and it doesn't look any different. It doesn't. It's bad. Right now it's horrible.
So I bought the Switch not for myself but for Gabs, right? Especially because she's going to be flying back to Netherlands and she wanted to be able to have something to keep her busy for the 22-hour long travel time. So I picked up this thing. She loves the hell out of everything Nintendo, so I know she's going to absolutely love the Switch 98% of the time regardless, so it was not a problem for me. I don't have all that much interest in it. And the thing is, Gabs represents a pretty fucking huge portion of gamers, right?
Yep.
And then of that, there's
that don't know anything about tech. They're just happy with flashy screens and Zelda, and that's it.
And sometimes I wish
it's not their money anyway. So
sometimes I wish I could be in that same fucking group and not care as much. But the thing is that people ultimately love Nintendo games, the first party stuff. They love it, and it's very hard for people.
Like Zelda, but it's not for everyone.
Yeah, it's really hard for people to pass up on an entire generation of a piece of Nintendo hardware, to pass up on the Mario and the Donkey Kong and the Zelda and whatever else they come out with over the course of that console's life. It is, even if the hardware is really shit, it is extraordinarily difficult for people to want to pass that up for 4 or 5 years at a time.
Yep, I agree.
So it's, is it the greatest piece of hardware I've ever held now that I've bought it and I have it here? No. I think, first of all, my thoughts on it, in hand, it felt more solid than I thought it was going to. I thought it was going to feel a lot flimsier than it does. It does feel quite solid. Now, snap those two controllers off the side of it. The controllers themselves feel like they're made of paper mache, and I could literally, right now, I can barely pick up a newspaper. I could literally crush those controllers in my hands if I wanted to. If I got angry enough playing Zelda because I was like Jeff and I walked off a cliff and I died for the 86th time, I could literally break those controllers just crushing them in my hands. There is almost no other controller in history that I would be able, with grip strength, to be able to crush.
It's
true. I'm pretty sure I could.
You're not exaggerating. You're literally not.
There's also a picture of me. Now I know I'm a bit of an outlier because I'm a pretty big guy. I've got pretty big hands. But when they said, ages ago, when we saw all these videos of people playing multiplayer on this thing, and they're using one of the side pieces of this unit as a singular controller, and I'm watching these guys, and I'm thinking, there is no fucking way. All of these people are midgets. There's virtually no fucking way that one tiny-ass controller is going to be comfortable enough to play anything for any period of time. And sure enough, when we get it, the first thing I wanted to do when Gabs took it out of the box, it's like, give me one of those fucking controllers. I want to hold this thing. There's a picture of us laying in bed, and I've got my hands on this, and it literally disappears. There's a controller in there somewhere, but you can't fucking see it because my hands cover the whole damn thing. And on top of that, it is one of the most uncomfortable things to hold as a singular controller for that very reason. And you feel like you're going to break it. You feel like you're going to break it. Like it's very awkward. Now, the other thing, like Jeff mentioned, the controls for Zelda, for example. I ran around in Zelda for a little bit. Gabs handed it to me. I just ran around the world a bit because I'm going to eventually play it and I didn't want to do anything crazy, but I ran around to see what the general controls were like. Like Jeff said, they made some of the worst decisions for button layout I have ever seen in my entire life.
Some of them were pretty bad.
Like, as it stands, the concessions that they made, all of this comes down to the fact that they had to make this thing so that both of those controllers could be an individual controller for multiplayer. So many of these problems literally don't exist, including a headphone jack, guaranteed, or a microphone jack, exists because they wanted to be able to break these two controllers up to make a multiplayer
100%.
experience.
100%.
So many of these could be solved. The analog positions, I don't know about how you felt about this, Panic, but even with big hands like mine, where I didn't feel like I rarely have to stretch to get to anything on a fucking controller, my thumbs felt like they were in very awkward positions at all times with those analog sticks, and the throw of the stick was tiny. Like I'm used to obviously bigger controllers, but I felt like I barely even moved it forward before I was bottoming out the analog throw.
It wasn't unpleasant for me. I literally sat and played Zelda for like 8-9 hours in one sitting over a weekend at one point. It wasn't unpleasant for me, but honestly, it wasn't ideal either. Like I would have much more preferred to, it's like grab like an Xbox controller or something, but it wasn't negative for me, but it wasn't good either. So that's not a great experience for a controller.
I really feel like the Switch, now that I've played it, as a handheld holding the actual console, it's such a better experience than having it as a console. The console itself is bad. It's like they had a really good concept for a handheld, and they said, we need to be a console as well. We need to have both. We need to get in the console market. And they did, and it just doesn't translate the same way. It's like playing a shitty console port to PC. Something just doesn't feel right. It doesn't work right. It's glitchy. The controls aren't the way you want it to be. The frame rates are bad. The way everything looks so pretty. I even played Zelda on the pad, and it looks infinitely better.
It ran well.
Yeah.
It ran a lot better on the pad than it did the TV mode.
Oh my god! I put it on the TV, and it looks like asshole. It looks like a fucking bag of smashed assholes. It's bad.
So much better on the tablet than on TV.
Infinitely
better. Think about this. I mean, it's obvious as to why that is. The pad is what, 720p native, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so the pixel density on that thing
definitely caused an issue.
Yeah, the 720p, the pixel density on that is going to be through the fucking roof in comparison to taking 900p or whatever they were trying to push Zelda at on in the docked mode to a 60-inch TV. It's going to look like ass. You can't get around that. It's just the way it's going to be. It does also, the nice thing about it though is that it does run so much better in that handheld mode. So it's, I guess there's some small consolation that for what it does best, or what people want it to do best, which is provide a more mobile experience for their console gaming,
it succeeds.
It at least operates at its best in that mode. So that's good. If it operated at its best in dock mode, that would probably suck even harder, but that's not the case at all. And so I'm happy with it in that regard. I still think the console is something. It's not for me. There's people that are going to buy it and be very, very, very fucking happy with it. There are people who are going to buy it and be absolutely just sell it in 24 hours or turn around and take it back. The peripherals are really bad. They're horribly expensive. The online is complete and utter shit. Nobody knows what it really even means yet, because I don't even think Nintendo knows what it's supposed to be yet. This new headset thing for the multiplayer stuff. And, you said, who cares about the communication stuff? I mean, console multiplayer games, communication, even though you and I might not want to use it because we're tired of hearing 12-year-olds fuck our mothers, a lot of people use that shit. That is a standard of online console gaming, is voice chat. It is just the way it is. And so to have that be as convoluted and messy and shitty as it is not helping their cause at all. And I mean, all this other stuff is whatever. I just want to know why the fuck the Virtual Console is not on the Switch. Why, or that we've at least heard that it's coming. We don't even hear from Nintendo saying, guys, it's not there right now. But it's coming. It's coming. Then at least people at home go, oh, okay, it's coming. But we don't even get that. We just get whatever this is.
Can I pull a Jeff and just say, let's bury the Switch and never speak of it again?
That's probably not going to happen because E3 is coming soon, so we're probably going to be talking about it more. But for now, let's move on to something else. To something else that has been that caught my attention because we recently talked about it. I think it was the last episode where we talked about the Overwatch League, right? So coincidentally, Riot came out talking about NA LCS and how the league is now going to operate, and they came out saying that it's going to be 10 teams, predetermined 10 slots. The buy-in is 10 million, but the really interesting points in this for me was that there is a minimum $75,000 salary for players, which is quite interesting, and revenue share from the league, meaning any like sponsorships that Riot pulls down for the league, anything like that that brings in big money. Like I think their article references they partnered or had sponsorship from MLB that brought in like $60 million.
They're doing what Dota does, right?
They split that amongst the revenue based on performance to the teams and stuff like that, which is nice. They're trying to do what we talked about before. They're trying to now emulate actual sport.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they know what they're doing, like what we talked about last time that Blizzard should have been doing. And Riot and Valve, for example, they've been flexing their way more. They have a lot more experience in the space for this with Dota and League than Blizzard does in running like larger scale sports organizations. So they're kind of flexing it. There was another thing that I don't know if it was mentioned in this specific article, but it was actually really interesting and something that I talked about on the Blizzard side of things. They're also funding and mandating a players association. So Riot will put down the initial money so that the players can go and the players will choose their own representatives. And that money is going to the representatives and the representatives will represent the players' interests. Riot gets no say in that. Like other than they said we will commit the money and the money's committed. That's the extent of our involvement. The players will then find people and get representatives, and the representatives can then structure the organization like they want. And I found that huge. And the only mandate that Riot said was this association will need to eventually provide players specifically with, legal advice, financial advice, and those kind of services for the players that are a part of it. So for me, that's huge, and that's kind of a big step. A lot of the other, in the past, it's been like a huge thing. Like teams didn't want to deal with it, organizations didn't touch it. They might have had some stuff in their contracts, but Riot's like now making it explicit. So I may have had a lot of negative things to say about Riot in the past with the way they treat their esports and their talent, but I'm actually 100% on board, and I think that's a really good thing they're doing, especially with the Players Association, to make sure that the players are getting taken care of. That minimum salary of $75,000, I think that's a really good starting point. Like that's something that's like setting a benchmark that you need to treat your players with a certain level for you to be accepted in the league type thing. So I think that's really nice.
Yeah, I want to say something negative, but I can't think of anything negative to say here. I think,
I want to be a negative Nancy, but I got nothing.
I do, but I do. I try so hard to be that other voice, but I mean, these are all good things. I think a $10 million buy is totally fine. League of Legends has established
for League,
themselves.
That makes sense.
There's only 10 teams allowed in there. There's going to be a lot of eyes there. I mean, there's no reason why a big reputable team cannot come up with the $10 million, whether via sponsors or just fucking cash sitting in the goddamn bank. And a $75,000 per player just seems absolutely, it's like being in the NHL, right? There's a minimum amount of money that an NHL bench warmer, has to get paid and so on and so forth. So I think that's great. And that allows the teams to have a standard and allows players to know that, one guy isn't getting screwed. Obviously, there'll be players on the team that'll make $1 million a year.
Yeah, it'll be like contracts.
Of course. But it'll at least at the minimum, $75,000 is a very good salary, not including any other extra things that they have going on in their careers.
They should be able to live comfortably
on a team.
Get healthcare.
Well, they have everything paid for anyway, right? So the majority of these players, they typically have their housing paid for, they have their food paid for, their travels paid for.
That's a little hit or miss, though.
No, any major
hit or miss.
A lot of major teams,
actually,
they
for
have
LCS,
a lot of that stuff paid for.
They would have that.
Oh, the room, like if they go and live in a TSM house, they're not paying TSM. TSM is not forcing the room and board on their players. They're going to get groceries. They're going to have workout sessions. They're going to have trainers. They're going to have coaches. They're going to have life coaches. They're going to have all these things. We're talking big leagues here. We're not talking some shitty StarCraft 2 team that, that has a net worth of $100,000 and they're making their up and coming player pay for half of their flights. We're talking $10 million buy-in teams here with a minimum of $75,000 salary per player. I think they can fork out $20,000, $30,000 a year in living expenses and all that stuff per player. Now, in terms of benefits and stuff, yeah, obviously that'll be on the player unless they have some sort of special contract or something within that they work out that they'll be responsible for. But at $75,000, the majority of your time is in a team house playing and training and traveling. You do not have time to go out and spend a bunch of money and party like a rock star and all this other stuff. There are strict times. I'm sure there's curfew. I'm sure there is all these things, because when you're talking big money like this isn't a North American shitbox team where people just wake up and they decide if I'm going to crawl to bed at 10 or 11. There is complete structure here. This is not, they're not playing with fucking, monopoly money. Yeah, these are big ass corporations. These are the big, you don't play by the rules, get the fuck out of here, because we'll replace you real quick with somebody who wants that position. So, 75K minimum, that is a good thing. Shout outs to Riot for finally taking a stance and creating some kind of standard and being open about it. And I think they've been pushed back into a wall for so long, and they've done things the cheeky way for so long now. They want to talk about being legitimate. Now they're actually being legitimate.
I want to see how it evolves. Hopefully they stick to everything here and it pans out well. Because if everything's transparent and this is how it comes out, I think they're going to do a really good thing for the esports space, and it might be like a usable model for the other spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wishing them well. I've shit on them in the past. We've all shit on them in the past, but I'm hoping this goes well, because it on a baseline level, it looks like a really good model.
I have full one last thing. I have full faith in Riot. I think Riot is going to go and achieve what they want. I think Riot will become the sport that they want it to become, and the reason why that they'll do it is because they put their money where their mouth is. They're consistent. They put on great production, and they take risks, and they're not afraid to spend money. They're not afraid to make big, bold moves that nobody else wants to do. Riot will succeed. There'll be hiccups, bumps in the road. They're going to be the first ones to ever do it, and in a lot of ways, they're the first to do many things. Of course, we're gonna point and nitpick on things because nobody else is doing this shit. Nobody, even a company like Blizzard, they refuse to do it. So Riot is going to be the ones that's going to go and set the standard, and everyone is going to follow. Is it going to be a perfect ride? I don't think so. But trust me, dude, whether it takes them 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years, they're going to get to where they want to go.
They're going to get it done.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm just happy that the players are actually going to get minimum pay out of all this, because in esports, no matter how much somebody who is
30K.
Yeah, so no matter how much a lot of people want to dumpster on people that are in esports as active players, because it's not a sport, it's not a whatever, it's there's the commitment is whatever. At the end of the day, the commitment level is still huge. These are guys that sit down, and they're playing these games for 6, 8, 10 hours a day.
It's the same concept.
It's nonstop. Are you doing it physically? Not necessarily, but does that actually matter? No, it's still the end result is the same. You're bringing in sponsorships. You're putting on a spectacle for people to watch a competitive event, and people are doing it. And the means in which they accomplish that competitive event doesn't ultimately matter, because they're putting in the same amount of time, and in some instances, more time, because you're not being physical. You're sitting in front of a computer. And so instead of just going to a gym and hitting the gym up 2 times a day, 3 hours at a time, instead of 6 hours a day, and studying footage, now you're studying footage and playing for, in many cases, 8 to 10 hours in crunch time before getting ready for a major event.
Boot camps, all this shit.
Yeah, boot camps and all this shit.
So doing everything, right?
When you're doing all of that, there's a lot going on. You don't have time to just be going and getting a job on the side and trying to keep all this afloat. So if with minimum in place, once you've hit that level of play and you're in the big league, I think that makes sense. And I'm happy it's there. And obviously, people are going to be getting paid a lot more than that, but at least what that means for the people that are breaking into it, they're going to be able to still sit down and focus on it. I think there were some people that were concerned that it might incite a little bit of laziness in some of the lower tier players because they're there and they're making $75,000. But that's not going to be on the player. That's going to be on the organization to sit the player down and say, okay, look, you're not performing as much as you need to. You're slacking where nobody else is. So either pick it up or pick up your stuff and leave. And that's as difficult as that gets. I don't even think that's going to be the
case, man. Because honestly, $75,000 a year isn't even that much money. It's really not that much money considering the amount of work that they put in, and to be at the highest level of League of Legends play on the biggest stage in the world.
They'll be making $500K a year for the higher level ones,
is
at least.
Fuck all. It's trust me, 90% of the people that are playing these games are not even in it for the money. They just love to play. They love the competition. They love the fame. They love the notoriety. Sure, the money's great, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to create laziness. I think laziness is just a thing in general in North American culture when it comes to not only just esports, but in terms of just having the world given to you. And that's why the Koreans are so good and they dominate so well, is because they don't have all these other outside things. They dial down, they focus. There's no static noise around them. They know they're focused, and that's the show. I think paying someone $75K is not going to be a make or break in terms of how much. They're not going to be like, oh, $75,000 a year? I'm going to kick back and just fucking relax. I mean, even if you make $75K a year for 4 years, you don't have that much money after taxes and everything else. What are you going to do? Go retire with your fucking
these guys? My view is that they're young.
Is not for your top or even middle level people. That $75K.
No, that's your bottom.
That guy at the bottom of your roster is able to buy food if he gets that's for the bottom of the roster to be able to live comfortably. Because you're gonna have your all-stars, you're gonna have like a really large middle base, you're gonna have the lower level ones, and the problem is you need those people to fill in the rosters. You need those people who are not necessarily the best, but they're good enough.
Yep.
And Riot is effectively saying, you know what? That minimum level, they need to be getting $75K a year.
Yep,
and that's
good.
perfectly fine in my book. That's like a living wage. They have to put in a ton of work. It's just to make sure they can survive and they're not getting screwed.
Yep.
I think if you can't survive and $75,000 a year is a living wage, I think we all live. I think we all fuck off. Don't give me that bullshit.
It is true.
No, unless you're trying to be on a goddamn penthouse
New York and you're making
in downtown. If you're downtown, literally sitting on top of a fucking building, $75,000 a year is literally placing you in the upper echelons of every fucking incoming earner on the face of the country. So $75,000 is not.
Yes, but not in your location. Not in your location though. Depends on. And again, you have to pick your location based on what you earn. But $75K,
well, where the fuck are these guys living in a penthouse in downtown New York? No. They're living in a fucking. They're living in a team. They're living in a team house.
In different locations.
But they're not paying for their. They're not paying for their living. We've already established this. Yeah. They're literally getting $75,000 a year, and everything's paid for.
Yeah,
it's definitely enough to live. Yeah, and the reason why they do pay that much, is because a lot of pros they're always stressed out about their finances. Because they either have to work part-time and they can't focus on the game, and they have outside things that are going on, or they have kids, or they have family they got to take care of, or themselves, and so they can't fully focus on the game at hand, and they have to worry. At least $75K, as long as they're not living outside their means, it should be plenty of money for them to live comfortably, especially with very little monthly expenses on their behalf.
Oh boy. Moving on. You know what else you can buy with $75,000? I mean, it's just a living wage, so I'm not sure if you'd actually be able to fucking pull it off. The new Intel X Series CPU or the AMD Threadripper. These guys have been
automatically update the patch notes. Like, is that enough horsepower from those processors?
No, it's not enough. We need at least twice as many. We haven't reached that kind of technology yet. This is actually the first time that we've been able had an opportunity to talk about tech here, because there's not a lot of times we get to talk about it, but because this affects streaming and content creation and everything else in our space, this is a pretty cool thing to talk about. It's also the first time, and I feel like 12, 15 years, that AMD and Intel have actually gone head to head and really been bashing horns over who's going to have the market, especially at the prosumer level, which is where they're doing big battling right now. I think it goes without saying that Ryzen wins the flat consumer level right now. The value proposition for Ryzen is insane. It's stupid. And now at the prosumer level, they're going at it again. But Intel, getting scared, came out with this X series announcement, and shit's getting heated. Have you been paying attention to this, Panic?
Yeah, honestly, I looked at the i9, and to me, it's dead on arrival, just because of the price point. So the i9.
Now, keep in mind they have more than just the upper one, right? Have you seen the full line?
I know, but
yeah.
Full line, I think it comes down to like $1,000. They brought the one that they released last year down to about $1,000. But even then, like, I wasn't a huge fan of what's coming out there because it's pretty much rebadged Xeon hardware, and just modified so that you don't need to have the server level hardware, for like the RAM and the motherboards and the workstation level stuff. And honestly, if you're dumping that much money into a PC, there's no reason to not go with the Intel server level stuff if you have that much money to throw around, because it's completely overkill. The i9 is for that guy that wants to just flash around the money saying, I've got an i9 in my machine. Ryzen, again, value proposition wise, it's better. It might not perform as well, but when you're paying half or less for roughly the same performance, I don't think you're going to complain. No. And again, Intel had to do this. It's just like, because everyone kind of came out saying, oh, this Ryzen stuff is incredible. Intel just kind of needed to do a little bit of a mic drop thing saying, we have the hardware, we can do this if we really need to. Here's a product that's better than, on paper and in numbers, it is better than the Ryzen stuff, but Intel's like, we don't need to fight them on price. Our stuff's better. So this was just Intel's, like some predictable move that they were going to make. Personally, I don't think we're going to see too many i9s in the wild unless someone just wants to drop a fat stack of cash just to show off. Personally, I've used both, and the AMD stuff is working just fine for me. The Intel stuff is working just fine for me. And these new things are just going to be overkill for no good reason.
Yeah.
What's your take on it?
Mine, so like, here's the thing. I love me some Intel, right? I run 2 PCs here. I've got Intel all over my shit. Intel has been categorically better, to the point where even though they cost more money, it wasn't even like a thought to go AMD. Some people were going, for a long time, people have been going AMD just to fight the man. That's literally all you're going AMD for, because you're not saving the order, the amount of money that you're saving with Ryzen versus Intel right now is not what you've been saving price to performance wise in all of the stuff previously, unless you go literally about a decade ago or more, actually, than a decade ago now. We're talking like when I was, we could be talking 12, 15 years. So that's like the last time I feel like AMD was even closely relevant enough for me as a consumer to consider any of their processors, unless you're on a seriously restricted budget. This Ryzen line has changed absolutely everything. And a lot of Intel fanboys are having a really hard time dealing with the fact that AMD is actually competitive again. They will always say, well, look, it might have more cores, it might be better at multitasking, but it's still not as good in games, and so I'm going to go and buy this Intel thing. Guys, we're talking. Go nuts. But I can't understand you. If you're going to really complain, where there has been endless comparisons now, you're losing maybe at the highest possible end, 10% performance in gaming because of the slower core speed. And you want to spend between 30 and 80% more money to accomplish that 10% in gaming specific applications, in gaming's current state where single and dual thread applications are king, where you're still wanting to talk about how you want your computer to go 4K in the future, and you're still gonna go with less cores for 10% more fucking power in certain games for so much more money. I think you're crazy. I think you've lost the fucking net. I think you're so blinded by the fact that AMD is actually doing something good for once that you want to huddle in a corner and hug the Intel 7700K build you just made 2 months ago. Now you have to come up with reasons why AMD is shitty because you just built a fucking $2,000 rig that you could have built now for $1,500 that allows you to do more for less. So this new stuff is even more important, I think, to AMD because it is the first time we have been seeing
all workstation level hardware that, you know, most people people are going to do it to like show their EPing or whatever, but it's not again, unless you're rendering high end video or doing a lot of crazy stuff. This hardware
needed.
has been around. It has been around. It's just now being rebranded as, you know, AMD started the Core War, so Intel's like, fine, we'll just use our workstation stuff here. Minor tweaks. And again, like, it's overkill for everyone. It's literally just a power move. I don't know why. I'm not sure why Intel is fighting this particular fight. They don't need to.
You know why? Because Intel is for the first time feeling some fucking heat, right? How many people are talking about Intel right now?
Heat.
You know,
Intel's
no,
any heat right now.
It's not that they're suddenly going to fucking collapse Panic. Let's be This is like Microsoft. We're feeling the heat. Linux is coming. No, it's not like the fucking like apocalypse for Intel or some shit. But what it is right now, it used to be for the longest time people talking Intel. AMD is all anybody's talking about in the space right now. Ryzen is on everybody's lips. Intel isn't. And why else would they come out and say, hey guys, we can do it too. We need to prove to people that we can take our fucking Xeon cores and strap them together into a fucking Cadillac-sized chip and put it on a motherboard and call it a fucking day. But as far as the money goes and everything, I think the to not drag this conversation out forever, the $1,000 price point is the most important price point out of everything because that's where these two guys are going to meet up, right? I think Intel at 1,000 is the 10-core 20-thread CPU, and we don't know pricing for the Threadripper yet at the highest end, the 16-core 32-thread. I would be shocked if that went higher. I'd be shocked if that was higher than 1,000, and if it did, I don't know why they would go that far. So I'm guessing it's going to come in at around 1,000 as well. So that will be the fun one to watch. The $2,000 monstrosity Intel put out is, like you said, it's a Xeon wannabe. Why would you fucking do it? Because you got a big dick and you got lots of money. That's about the only reason you fucking go that far. But I think it is very interesting, and it just excites me as a computer enthusiast because AMD has been so on the back burner. Basically, I feel like I've been watching a horse die for the last 15 years, just slow death out in the woods, not finding food. Exactly. And now here we are, and the fact that Intel even felt like they had to respond is very, very positive for me. I think that's great because Intel's prices, if anything, have been way too high for way too long. So, ladies and gentlemen, hey Jeff, what are your thoughts? Hey, what are your thoughts, Jeff? What are your thoughts on this?
Bro, it's like comparing like whose Lamborghini looks better. You know, it's like whatever, dude. The fucking Intel guys are gonna stay with Intel, and that's it. It's like comparing Samsung and Apple. You're gonna have your fanboys. They're gonna buy their phones, and you know the Intel guys. If there's an AMD that is comparable in terms of price, the guy and it's a little bit better. The Intel guys will just go and buy the next level chip up, just to say they have a better chip than the other guy with the AMD chip. It's a brand loyalty thing, dude. And the problem is that AMD has, and it's going to be tough for them to break it. And in order for them to break this, they're going to need to come out with chips, not only this go around, but they're going to have to be able to compete like this
have to keep it up
every single time because they have this discount type shit. It's like the Walmart of CPUs. You know, people that want to build a computer on the cheap on a budget, they get AMD. It's just the way it is. And whether or not the specs are comparable, it doesn't matter. They have that cheapen brand thing going on where people, a lot of people just associate them with a discount, with cheap. And it doesn't matter the numbers. It doesn't matter. The everyday consumer is going to go, I have an AMD, and your buddy's going to go, ooh, you got an AMD? Ah, yeah, you know, you probably should have spent the extra few dollars and got an Intel. But that cuck has no idea the specs that maybe the AMD actually maybe is identical or a very little less, and in terms for the amount of money that you're going to spend for the difference is ludicrous. But the thing is, it doesn't matter. That brand already has been tarnished. When it comes to that, there's millions of people out there that don't care. They buy AMD because it's cheap, it works, everybody's happy. But the hardcore people, the people that are going to sit down and talk about this stuff, at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to make a difference until this is an every year occurrence where they are just neck and neck. And the moment that they let off the pedal, even for 1 year, they're going right back to the bottom. And this is going to happen for 3 to 5 years before they're going to have to get out of that cheapened state.
They're fighting like a decade of that mentality from people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's coming from a guy that knows nothing about this
stuff.
It's
a huge uphill battle.
It's just the way it is.
Branding, brand-wise, it's a massive uphill battle for AMD because, like you said, for a long time, and it's true, it's been almost 15 years, like we said, since Anthlon, the age of the Anthlon, which is when I last built AMD, was the Anthlon systems, when they used to be that good. As soon as that went away, and I think the last generation, I know, Jeff, you wouldn't know a whole heck of a lot, but the bulldozer bullshit was fucking dumpster.
Trash. Okay,
so Jeff, bulldozer was the name of the chip that came out before Ryzen. Basically, that was their last big one. And pile driver, and they pushed, like, before they came out, they were like, this is us coming back big time. And it fucking sucked some big, hairy dong.
Rip.
Just awful processors. And it didn't do anything they said they would, and you could fry eggs on them. It was just so fucking bad. And so this time where they didn't really hype Ryzen up, they literally just, one day they woke up and they're like, BAM! Ryzen! Here we are. And just coincidentally, it happens to be pretty fucking awesome. So I think they need to stick to that strategy. Don't open your mouth. Put the shit out there, and people are positively talking about your brand. Just let it happen.
Let guys like Adam advocate it and educate the cucks out there that know nothing about this and that will just defend Intel for what it is. Because no matter what, even if AMD comes out and says, guys, listen, our chips are better or as equal for less money, people of course are going to say that, right? And what are you going to do? You're going to take their word for it? If they just come out, lay the specs down, and say, "Boys, this is it," and then you got guys like Adam who's really excited about the change and excited about the competition. That's their best way to get that out there, because it's the guys that really, really know computers that are gonna go out and buy that shit, and then after years of them building it, recommending builds to their friends, building computers, streaming with their AMD stuff, and getting that brand out there. This is a long process, and like I said, the moment they lay off the gas, rip the dream back to square one.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it unfolds. If anything, I think everybody should be excited because at the worst, it means Intel might actually have to lower their prices for the first time
in forever. And Canadians
should be very excited about this because you can actually build a computer worth owning with AMD, because our dollar is so shit that you need that 30 to 80% discount to fucking build a computer that will run better than a hamster in a fucking wheel. So get hyped for AMD, Canadians. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break and switch over into pure sellout mode before coming back after the break. We got some more stuff to talk about, lots of exciting topics. We hope that you've enjoyed it so far. Also, big thank you to everybody who's been giving us reviews on iTunes and continuing to download and use those 5-star ratings all day, baby. We're making our way to 100. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to be hype as fuck. We had 100 reviews on iTunes. So thank you guys so much. It's really been doing quite well. We're growing. Our daily downloads have been continuing to climb. So keep telling people about the podcast. It's word of mouth is always a good way to do it as well. And yeah, here we go. We're going to dump into that extended sellout. We'll be right back in a few minutes. And yeah, sit tizzity. Hey guys, if you're enjoying Technical Alpha and are interested in supporting us, do I have a solution for you? We've set up this Patreon page to help us help you, help us and you. We've got a list of options that would make a used car salesman cry that provides you with a range of goodies for your support. Head on over to patreon.com/technicalalpha to see what's up for grabs. Like fancy badges and stuff? Subscribe to us on Twitch to get access to, well, badges and stuff. Not big on subscriptions. We have a button below that allows you to directly throw money at our faces. Careful you don't take those eyes out though. We are so very fond of our eyes. Honestly though, while we like to joke about the sellout, just being a regular listener is a huge help, and we're incredibly thankful for all of your support. Technical Alpha will continue soon, so sit tight. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for that. I am guilty of two things: getting 2-bite brownies and talking for too long with my girlfriend. I'm guilty. I'm sorry. The break was longer than intended, but we're back, and we've got still some pretty awesome stuff to talk about, or pretty hilarious, actually. The first thing we're going to talk about here, now that we've gotten out of our sellout time, and that is...
Let's talk about that retro versus real quick.
Okay, yeah, you go ahead, you talk about it, you give her a go.
Yeah, so all you fine motherfuckers out there that are supporting via Patreon right now, $5 or higher, Adam and I recorded 3 episodes of Retro Versus today, one of which was pretty freaking awesome. Commando for the Nintendo. We played some wrestling tag team game, and we also managed to pull Super Mario 2. So we managed to pull that one too. So some games are coming out. That is Patreon exclusive. So anybody out there that is interested in that stuff, make sure to head on over to our Patreon. Not only that, it's a little extra bit of a sellout. We had somebody, a fine gentleman of Jet Ricks, if I'm pronouncing that right. He went to the $500 mark. So big shout outs to him. And with that, we are on the final run towards our first big stretch of 5K, which is absolutely insane considering we are like, what, not even 3 months old? Not even 3 months. So that's pretty incredible. So if you guys are really enjoying the podcast, you listen to this on iTunes right now, good way to support is to chuck that 5 sheet and get that Retro Versus, a little something extra for you. We also got all the deliverables as well. So Panic is going to start sending all that stuff out. So you guys are going to start to get some of the swag, and lots of spots are open, guys. So a little shameless advertisement as we push our way to the final, the final like 400 or whatever is left.
The first goal.
Yeah, the final stretch.
Adam and I talked today about what we're actually going to give when we get there. That right now we have more tech support. But we are thinking about doing something else, which I guess we'll talk about some more when the time comes. But if that's what everybody wants to see, by all means, we'll put out some more tech support. But we also had a couple
want
of
to
other
screw
things.
us up, get us to that goal tonight.
One guy
really
gonna step in and ruin everything.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen tonight, but I think with these new Retro Versus out, and the Commando is so good, there'll be a trailer up for that. You guys definitely want to go and check that out. So big thanks to everybody that's showing love. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're on the backbone of like 3 nerd ballers, but we're almost there.
So very close. It's gonna be fun. I mean, we can talk about it. We're fielding the idea that we might move the what we are currently using as the $7,500 goal down to the $5,000 and do the movie stuff once we hit a steady 5K. Because we were just talking about, the tech support stuff is great. We know that people love to have their questions answered and whatnot. But we weren't 100% sure if that was...
It might oversaturate.
Really going to, yeah, exactly. So we didn't know if that was really what people were going to want to have versus if we said, look, we can move the movie thing up and give you guys more Patreon exclusive content in that regard. Then maybe that's the thing. And if you're listening to this and you're not part of the Patreon already, then this is probably the most, pertinent information for you if you're waiting for something that you're interested in to buy in. The movie thing, what we're talking about is once a month, the 3 of us will sit down and watch a movie together and do a recorded commentary that will be released in audio, possibly also video form to the Patreon folks as exclusive content, where basically all you do is you just go and find a copy of said movie that we had. We'll have a countdown for you so that you know when the movie is starting for us, and then you'll be able to have our kind of commentary over top of it. It's a relatively popular thing that some of the bigger podcasts have been doing. I noticed it's becoming more popular. Even the Giant Bomb Crew apparently does that every once in a while now. So it's starting to become more popular, and apparently it's got to be popular for a reason. People must think that that's quite entertaining. So we can give that a rip. Let us know either here on YouTube, the comments below, about your thoughts about that. On Patreon, you can leave us comments in the community side, and we can have a little bit of a discussion as to what you guys might like to ultimately see at the $5,000 goal. Yeah. So, with the sellout fully on tip, we get that out of the way. We've got some more sellout, but for somebody else, and it's really it's something that only somebody who is making $75,000 a year could ever possibly pull off, and that is the Twitch Plays the Stock Market. So this motherfucker has got so much money. He woke up one day and said, you know what would be kind of cool? If we did Twitch Plays Pokemon, but I give them all sorts of filthy money to play the stock market and automate that shit. And so he did. And here we are, $50,000 of his own placed in with an automated system that is live. It goes live whenever the market opens. It closes when the market closes. And just like with every other Twitch Plays thing, the chat basically decides what's bought, what's sold, and when, and you get to track their performance live. So far, apparently, they're not doing particularly horrible. They've made a few $100s. I don't know if you gentlemen have stopped in to see it yet.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I watch it at work.
just gonna smile at, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I watched it.
It's just so ridiculous, dude. It's so ridiculous.
It's actually not as crazy as it sounds. I'll let you guys talk about it first, and then I can kind of jump into it. I have a lot I can say on it.
Well, go ahead, Panic, because I don't have that much to say about it. I mean, it's just a fucking stock market.
Well, I want to hear your opinions first, like what you guys think it is. You know, because you guys are like you guys are like the layperson. You guys aren't the ones who are like involved in the stock market stuff. So I'm curious what you guys think about it and like how you perceive this.
Well, I mean, if you have, so my views of it are, if you have $50,000, unless you put all your eggs in one basket, which is hard to do when the entire chat is basically just fucking. People are just, a lot of people, I walked in today and one of the things that they bought was QQQ. It's a fucking meme, but somebody has that stock fucking tag. So they bought a bunch of stock in QQQ. You know, you're going to get, usually, until a bit of a hive mind kind of thing happens every once in a while, you're going to get a pretty diversified portfolio when you have a few thousand people fighting to decide what's going to be bought and sold. And so, again, until you probably get a little bit of a hive mind thing, then everybody's like, fuck it, just buy $25,000 worth of Google and call it a fucking day. And I'm waiting for that kind of stupid shit to happen. Like that, eventually, some dumb amount of money, unless he's got a checks and balances in place for how much can be put into any specific stock at any time, which I don't know if that's the case. I'm waiting for something silly like that to happen. But I don't, as crazy as it is, it's not a particularly dangerous thing what he's doing with his $50,000 in my opinion because of that fact. But it is highly entertaining. I don't think obviously he's not going to become a multimillionaire off of letting a bunch of other people do this shit. But at the same time, it's kind of fun. I think it's kind of cool because I think a lot of people are going to go out of their, not a ton of people, but some people are probably going to go out of their way and learn a bit more about this whole system. You know, and how it works, just because it's so intriguing to watch this thing happen live. They're going to look up the terms they're seeing on screen. They're going to, figure out a little bit about how this all works. And I think that's not necessarily a bad thing either. I think it's quite cool. Would I do it with my own $50,000? Fuck no. But I'm happy somebody else is doing it because I just think it's incredibly entertaining and out there and crazy. And it's such a Twitch thing. The Twitch Plays thing. I still think Twitch Plays Pokemon is one of the greatest, if not the greatest thing that ever happened on the website. And certainly one of the most entertaining. So this is just an offshoot of that, and it's great. I think it's fun.
All right, so I'm going to start off and ruin some of the magic for you. First things first, QQQ is actually a legitimate stock instrument, It's pretty much
of course.
a fund, so it's like a real thing, completely real thing.
No. Well, obviously, I mean, you can't.
Super common.
Yeah, you can't. But you can't. Yeah, but I don't think a lot of people probably, if they were spamming that in chat, they see somebody suggested. The people in chat weren't like, "Oh, that's a legitimate fund to put money into. Let's fucking go for that." They're probably just like, "Oh, QQ, cry more. Let's fucking put that in the fucking stock market. That seems fun."
So the big thing is, the guy's not actually as crazy. Like everyone who, like all the articles I read, they were kind of like hyping this up as some huge thing, and it was like some like crazy thing. It's actually not all that crazy. The markets have a lot of checks and balances, especially this guy's pretty much going in as a day trader. So he's got a lot of restrictions on, you know, how much he can invest in one day, how much he can win, how much he can earn in one day, and how much he can lose in one day. So the max is, again, if things go tits up and horrible, he can lose at most 25,000 before he gets stopped.
Yeah, you can't go under
there are
25K. You can't even put money out there without at least 25,000.
And the first 2 days so far, everyone was like, "Oh, he's losing money." No, he started at cash. First couple of days was literally just him buying the actual stocks and the positions, or like starting his positions.
Yeah.
And the big thing about that is he's super restricted because he's not doing like fast rapid fire trading. He's trading every 5 minutes, one trade based on what the chat vote is. And there's limits to what he can and can't do. Like he can't keep buying and selling the same stock in the same day. So he's like, Twitch is really limited in how much damage they can actually do if they try to.
Yeah.
But you know, it's nothing too crazy, and it's actually nothing too complicated that he's doing. He's just pretty much got some market data feeds up on the screen, and he's got some rigging that he did so he can interact with Twitch chat and pretty much do it. This is all trading system stuff that's existed for years already. There is actually a trading platform called IM Trader, which is instant message trader, where you can trade via IM just automatically. So he's not doing anything crazy. It's cool that he's doing it on Twitch, but the way I saw it when I looked at it was it's a recreation of an experiment they did a long time ago where they were testing high-powered fund managers to see how accurate they were at giving someone a return versus preschoolers. They had preschoolers pick stocks, and then they had fund managers pick stocks. And the funny thing was the preschoolers picked the better portfolio. They made more money at the end. Like they tracked like the hypothetical portfolios, and the preschoolers made more money than the fund managers who did all the analysis.
I know where I'm going for my financial aid.
It's like crowdsourcing to, you know, the mass mentality of Twitch chat to get like trading stuff.
I mean, the stuff that they're trading on is all relatively safe stuff anyway. It's all
it's all common stuff that you see. Like no one's doing. It's like Tesla and other like, you know, standard stocks. So what's going to happen is this guy's going to gain, or he's going to get what we call, he's going to get what we call index growth. Because effectively, the index he's trading against is the mainstream mentality that lives in Twitch chat. So it's all these people who, you know, are whatever
Apple, Samsung.
Companies.
You know,
exactly. So
that's what they're going to go for.
So he's effectively just going, he's like digging into the subconscious of Twitch chat to get like a portfolio build, but it's going to be effectively like he invested in an index fund. So I suspect, you know, he's going to get like, you know, a modest 3 to 5% growth, maybe, you know, 6 or 7% growth, depending on what indexes like you're going against. And it's a perfectly reasonable investment strategy. It might seem a little bit odd and a little bit weird, but there's enough safety checks and stuff that he'll be fine. Like, I don't think he's
better than a savings account.
Exactly.
Infinitely, you know,
better than savings. He's got this 50 grand. He got this 50 grand to play around with. And in general, invest. And this is like, I'm not speaking in any official capacity. I'm not speaking as an investment advisor, but my personal investment philosophy is only invest money in the markets that you are perfectly willing to lose. This guy is clearly perfectly willing to lose it. He won't, but you know, he's not putting himself in any jeopardy.
Well, it's gambling.
I think it's cool
he's gambling.
Like,
but it's safe.
Yeah.
It's as safe as it gets.
Safer
in terms
than going to a
of
casino.
stock market.
Yeah.
He's gone and played craps, and he's playing it by the book, nothing fancy, and giving himself that fucking the like the closest edge in the whole casino to give himself the best possible chance of making money.
playing.
He's
perfect
also going to make
blackjack
money
right
because
now.
people are donating. People are doing, he's doing all the Twitch stuff. He's going to get his partnership, obviously, if he hasn't already. So he'll make some money as a kid, and this will be a thing for a while. I'm sure this will run for probably a couple of months based on the portfolio, unless there's some weird crash. But more power to this guy. Programming it probably wasn't too difficult, but he went out and did it. So props to him for that, I guess. I wasn't super impressed, but cool.
I didn't see it and suddenly like get wet panties over the whole process. I mean, doing anything Twitch plays is not really cool. For a programmer. It's not really anything remotely complicated. It's just conceptually, and you're right. A lot of publications are blowing it out of proportion, right? They're saying how crazy it is, but
of course it's headlines.
Again, of course they've got to blow it out. And then anybody, the layperson that really, honest to goodness, has no idea, what he is doing specifically in the day trading, the restrictions and the checks and balances, and the fact that he's only trading every 5 minutes, and all these endless listed things that pretty much ensure that like Panic just said, and short of some catastrophic market collapse, it's unlikely that he's going to lose or gain any amount of money.
He'll make money.
He'll make money. 100%. He won't make huge amounts. He won't lose huge amounts. Like he'll make a couple of percent on it, which is
if he did it for 1 year. If he did it for 1 year, he'd probably make $4,000 or $5,000. If he did it for one full year,
which is roughly index growth at 50,000. That's about 10%. A little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit above index growth, but
I think $3,000 minimum is probably what he'd be looking at. Depending I think 3,000 on what happens, but I guess 4 to 5 is probably on the higher end.
I mean, I'm looking at it this way: if he's got 50 grand to put in the hands of a bunch of random anonymous people on the internet, his actual portfolio is probably pretty bumping, and this is just basically entertainment value for him. He's sitting back watching this happen. He checks in on it probably a couple times a day. Yeah, so he's got his laptop on the side. He's doing his honest to goodness day trading on one side, looking over, seeing how the chat's doing on the other, and fucking calling it a day.
I mean, how many people wouldn't do that? I mean,
sure.
Say you came up with a great idea, you would find $50,000 and you would invest 50 grand into your future. And you build a community, you build a brand, you build all this stuff for 50 grand, and it's a relatively.
I think it's awesome.
Even assuming you lose everything after 1 year of being in the spotlight on Twitch, you might even make back the 50K or the majority of it. There's no way you're going to hit zero betting on those markets. It's an absolute safe bet. I mean, if I had it perfect out, I would invest 50 grand into something to build a massive audience.
If I was a trader and I was doing this, I would be curious. Like, this would be an ego thing for me where I would want to see if I had 50 grand in the market and I gave Twitch chat 50 grand in the market, I want to see if I can beat the return that the hive mind of Twitch chat. That would be like a personal challenge for me.
I think what would be cool is if you had multiple channels starting with 50K, and you see which
Team
channel
Red
makes
versus
more money.
Team Blue.
Yeah, you see which channel makes more money, and the channel that loses after 3 months donates it all to charity. Now that would be something pretty fucking cool.
Oh, that would make a ton of money.
Red versus Blue. Who wins? Which chat wins?
Very, very cool. That would be very, very cool.
All right, so when that happens and Jeff's idea gets ripped off, you've heard it here first.
If it happens, I want to cut.
Yeah, Jeff's the charity it goes to.
I am. I'll put it to good use.
Yeah, buying those retro video games.
Yes, feeding my gas tank.
Speaking of retro video games, Final Fantasy VII. I think in the second episode or something we did of Technical Alpha, one of the early ones, we did talk about originally this whole Final Fantasy VII Remake thing. I don't think it was like a topic that came up. I think it was just in tangent to having us talk about Final Fantasy in general. But pretty big news in regards to this thing. They have moved the development of Final Fantasy VII's Remake from the external company that was once handling it internally to Square Enix. And specifically, they're placing it in the hands of the main programmer who did Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13-3, which we all know is probably the greatest video game having ever been graced a shelf in any household. So, I just wanted to bring this up because it's something I think that all three of us are certainly interested in and would like to see how it goes. And so I'll ask Jeff first because I'm sure it's going to be entertaining. Now that you know that Final Fantasy VII is being done in-house, how excited are you for the continuing project that is the remake of Final Fantasy VII?
What's up with that noise?
Fucking pumped, Adam.
You jacked, buddy? You fucking wired for sound?
I can't wait to spend $69.99 4 or 5 times over for Final Fantasy 13-3.5. Kill me. Just
7
kill
edition.
me. I mean, fuck. It's whatever, dude. The game's gonna suck anyway. I've already accepted it. The game is gonna suck. So, fuck. What more do you want me to say, dude?
It's depressing, isn't it? Isn't it just fucking depressing? Like before, we were already pretty concerned about it, and you know, if they told me they're moving it in house, I say okay. Then they tell me that they're handing it to the guy who did 13.3, and I say, now you fucked up.
Why does that guy have a job? Why is he still there?
I want to know what's even funnier.
They
didn't take that guy off his project. He's still working on his other project in addition to this.
Which they're very, very, very keen on doing at Square Enix, where they put one lead guy on about 18 different titles and expect him to be able to perform on all 18 different titles simultaneously. But to answer your question, Jeff, that's a very good question because 13.3, to my knowledge, was the worst selling 13 title.
Terrible.
So why he's still in any major role there, or why they would hand him something as sacred as the remake to Final Fantasy VII, is beyond me and beyond words. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
I'm starting to feel like we're never going to see the game, man. I have this feeling that something's going to get canceled. I hope this whole idea just burns. It's so scary to think that they're going to ruin one of the greatest games of all time. And as awesome as it would be to get a nice modern look and feel and get these characters back, if I got to play Final Fantasy 13 in Final Fantasy 7, I'm out. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, and I don't want to pay for it.
I don't know very many people that would want Final Fantasy 13.3, the Final Fantasy 7 edition. I don't know anybody that wants that. Like nobody does. The cross section of people that really, honest to goodness, enjoyed Final Fantasy 13, 13.2, and 13.3, which are such wildly different games that Venn diagram is already fucked up to begin with.
They're the same people that are enjoying the Switch, bro. They're the same fucking people. Their opinions don't matter. I'm tired of it. If there is something as sacred as Final Fantasy VII, don't pawn it off to the shittiest Final Fantasy franchise yet. Don't do it. Stop. At least give us the courtesy of give us the respect, the nod, just saying, you know what? Listen, we may not be doing all that great. We may have pissed off a lot of you, but we're going to at least take care of Final Fantasy VII for you. We're going to at least do this. You know, we're going to release an episode every year. It's going to cost you your fucking limbs, but it's going to be worth it. You're going to throw your wallet at the screen. But no, they're going to give it to a guy that's working on 18 projects and he's done Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Shitbox Returns.
He was not the creative guy at all for Lightning Returns. The guy who's
he's the programmer.
The project. He's just he's the one who's managing.
If he's
the
in
project,
the credits,
the
don't
creative.
put him near the game. I don't care what part you are. I don't care if you made a fucking piss noise in the game. Piss off. Don't be near Final Fantasy VII.
Here's the thing.
God damn it.
I'm looking at the screenshots for the 7 remake. I actually have a little glimmer of hope because it doesn't look like Final Fantasy 13.3 at all. Like it looks like it's updated versions of the Final Fantasy 7 stuff with like the limit break meters and the time counters that they had, and the menu looks like it's actually a menu-based combat system like 7. So I'm hoping like they're not mucking with the combat, and from the look of it, they might not be. So
send me this link, Panic. Send me this link. You're like, I want to see these pictures. I want to have my soul.
Get me excited about a fucking photo, dude.
Is it the same? Is it the same?
to play this photo.
Okay, I'll take a look.
Love,
it's
I
the
just
same
love
link
a
that's in the
publicized photo.
Oh
from
yeah,
Square
these.
themselves.
Okay.
Let me see.
Oh yeah, right.
It's like the second picture.
Where is
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Where is it?
Okay, cutscene. And then for some reason,
it's like showing gameplay stuff.
For some reason, the last picture is balloon. What the fuck? Yeah. So there's two. There's like
fighting the boss
Cloud
guy.
needs to work out, bro, because his arms are
his
thin.
arms are a little stick line.
Like that just looks ridiculous, dude. He looks like he's
Hey,
starving.
look. This is an upgrade. All right. He didn't even have elbow joints.
Dude, I want you to take a look at his goddamn arm, dude. My cock is thicker than his fucking arm.
Oh well.
How is
at
he
least
even
he's got
holding
the
that Buster Sword? How?
He's got those.
I don't know.
He's got those delts. He's got those delts to swing that bad boy around, bro. And he's been fapping hard. He's got the wrist strength to hold that 80-pound sword up. It's fine. I mean, it's friggin' anime. I'm not gonna harp on them for a skinny dude wielding a friggin' 900-pound sword.
Dude, he looks like the fucking.
He looks
white
a little
wigger.
sickly.
He looks like the white wigger at high school that goes home and lifts the 20-pound dumbbells at night and does push-ups, and then he
Wears
goes into
wife
his
beaters.
bathroom. And he wears a wife beater. He goes in the bathroom and he takes selfies of him flexing in the mirror. That's literally what this guy looks like. It looks ridiculous.
He kind of does.
He looks ridiculous. And you're right. He looks sick. He looks like my fucking
he
cat
actually looks a little ill.
when I got fucking Milo. He looks like Max when I got Milo, and he was so stressed out. He was starved. He looked like a fucking bag of bones. It looked like he was gonna fucking die, dude. If he shit the wrong way, he was dead. That's what Cloud looks like, dude.
You know what's even better?
Sick.
You know what's even better though? If you scroll over and you see the side shot of Barrett, you know who he looks like? Wesley Snipes and Blade.
Wesley Snipes. He looks like Blade, dude.
Oh my god.
He looks like Blade.
Are you pulling the Blade card?
He looks like
Blade, look at him.
Man.
He looks like. Tell me that's not Blade.
He looks like if Blade fucking ate Blade.
That's literally.
Like, what was the fat guy's name? Because he's in the screenshots too, and he looks hilarious.
Well, there's the two guys, Biggs and Wedge.
Who the fuck is that guy?
No, Biggs and Biggs and Wedge.
Wedge.
That's Biggs.
Oh, Wedge.
Or Wedge.
No, is that Wedge?
I guess. Yeah. He ate one too many fucking potato wedges, I'll tell you that much. But he was big in the game, so I'm gonna let that slide. He actually looks fine. But Wesley Snipes playing the role of Barrett is a little silly. What I need to see is Wesley Snipes voice acting the English VO of Barrett in the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah,
I'd fucking buy it just for that.
I will say the battles scene there looks cool. That looks dope. I mean, the in-game where they're fighting. That looks
now,
promising.
Panic, you said it doesn't look like it, but having been torturously playing the Final Fantasy 13 franchise for for as long as I have, and having to play, yes, thank you, 13.3 coming up here in what, not this weekend, but the following weekend.
There's some indicators they might be fucking it up. Like if you look in the little corner of each player thing, you see the ATB bar. So I don't know.
What I'm seeing right now is a guy diving in like it's 13, like where it's just constantly moving bullshit. This looks almost identical to me. It's just painted Final Fantasy in terms of the words you're seeing on the screen, but it looks an awful lot like 13's combat system.
The same engine, dude. They just gave it a different.
They probably are
facelift.
They probably are, because wasn't 15 even done on 13's end, because it was supposed to be a 13 title. So 15 was just like a
13 versus.
Yeah.
God, Cloud looks so awful. My God, he really looks that bad, dude. Like
it's Unreal Engine. This is Unreal 4.
Oh my God!
Is it really? All right,
that's the shittiest. That's the shittiest. That's the shittiest Unreal Engine 4 game I've seen yet. Unreal 4 has been putting out some sick friggin' games.
This when it gets closer to release, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Like pre-alpha. I hope this isn't what the final looks like. But we'll see. I guess.
Regardless, I don't want to comment on how the game looks graphically, because there's lots of time if they want to polish it up, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
My concern is that combat image. It looks so much like 13, and literally the last thing I want to do in Final Fantasy VII is have 13's combat. Literally the last. They could do almost anything else to this remake, and if they put Final Fantasy 13 or a shade of Final Fantasy 13's combat in this game, I'm going to have a really, really hard time not wanting to dumpster it every time I turn it on, if I even buy it in the first place.
Here's the funny thing, Adam. We're buying this in hopes that we never have to think about Final Fantasy 13 in any way, shape. We actually want to erase it from our memory and enjoy a Final Fantasy game. That is the whole point of playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, is so that we can relive the actual good times. And if I have to in any way, whether it is the battling system, whether it is the shitty voice acting, whether it is the fucking the linear garbage, whatever it is, I want it to die in a fire, and I want my Final Fantasy VII. I don't want Final Fantasy 13-7. I want Final Fantasy VII. That's it. That's all I want. That's it. Just please, if you're gonna charge me $200, just give me what I want, please. I'm begging you. This is the one game. I'm gonna be that guy this time. I'm a pretty easy to please dude in terms of video games. Like you put out a game. If I have fun with it, I'll enjoy it. But when my heart is dear and near to something like this, and you're gonna fuck it up, and you're gonna replicate the worst of the entire series. I mean anyway. I'm getting worked.
I know you get worked up, and the podcast has had a lot of negative shit. It's just one of those weeks. But I'm genuinely intrigued, and with Square Enix's ability to be so enamored with the 13 formula. I don't understand why they're so excited about it, because if anything, as a company, at the bare minimum, 13 sold like fucking on a scale that was impressive, sold worse game over game as they were released. It kept getting shittier and shittier to the point where I think 13.3 barely crested like a million and some or something like that, or 3 million. I can't remember what it was, but like it dove so fast. Like the sales chart was just tanking, and yet they're still so enamored with it. I don't understand why that's the case. I don't get it.
It's all they got. It's all they got.
Like most companies see all of that shit going down, they think, okay, people just don't want to see this. I don't know if that's because they think that people are just tired with the characters of 13, but they liked the combat and everything else that 13 had to offer. Maybe that's it. I actually
didn't mind the characters in 13, to be honest with you. I kind of liked Lightning. I kind of liked the fucking black dude with the afro. I liked a lot of the characters in the game. I just didn't like that it didn't feel like Final Fantasy. And listen, I actually didn't hate Final Fantasy 13. I hated the idea of Final Fantasy 13. If it wasn't a Final Fantasy game, and it was called like fucking Bumfuck Adventureland linear version episode 1, it wouldn't be a horrible game, because on its own, it's not a horrible experience. It had its moments. It was emotional at times. It was exciting at times. The story wasn't awful. I mean, there's definitely been worse Final Fantasy stories, but at the same time, it wasn't Final Fantasy. It didn't feel like it. So that's what made it bad, is we were comparing it to Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10, even 10-2. And to come back to 13, it was just like, wow, what is this? I'm not sure I like it, but I do like part of it. It was just a weird hybrid. And then after 13-2, then it was like, okay, you guys you've lost your minds now. That's how I felt about 13. I didn't hate it. I just
13 coincidentally. So this is how it went for me. I originally beat 13 when it first came out, right? I bought it, I played it. I didn't just play it and beat it. I put 120 hours into 13. So I was pretty well versed in Final Fantasy 13. Then I
13.
recently with Brian had to go back and play it again, and people friggin' tipped enough in chat to the point where we had to do a 100% run. So not only have I played and beat this game twice, I have now successfully 100% completed Final Fantasy 13. 13 of the 13 franchise is orders of magnitude better than 13.2 and 13.3 from what I've heard is worse than 2, which I didn't think was possible because 13.2 might be one of the worst Japanese RPGs I have ever played, period.
Yeah.
So 13 by itself is not awful. It's not great. It doesn't feel like Final Fantasy. It has a lot of flaws, but
it's playable.
It's not. It's not the worst thing in the world.
That was a straight line. That was my only issue.
It's
with the
so
game.
linear.
Yeah.
So very linear. 15 for different reasons was a hot mess. And
Played 15 for 2 hours. I'm like, not now.
15 is a really hard game to like super hard game to like. If you're big into MMOs and you don't mind grinding, 15 is going to do you wonders because the majority of the content in 15 is a single player MMO grind. That's the 80% of the content of the game is that. The story was really great. The characters actually were really good as well for the most part. Not all of them were smashes out of the park, but a couple of them were really, like in years, best Final Fantasy characters they had. Unfortunately, shittiest fucking exposition delivered in the video game out of any Final Fantasy I've seen in a long time. And then the DLC thing that they're pulling over everybody right now, on top of having in-game advertisements for Amex and Cup Noodle and an entire quest dedicated to fucking Cup Noodle, made me want to punch babies beyond belief. So I just want, like Jeff said earlier, to bring this full back around before we move on. I agree with Jeff that fuck everything else up if you want. If you are so hell-bent on destroying everything and setting it all ablaze, sure, fuck, go ahead. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that you should be so fucking dedicated to is the game that arguably has allowed you to even be at a point where you can shit all over the 15th installment of the fucking franchise. Put all of your energy into making that as faithful and positive an experience for the players as possible. Don't fucking ruin it. And right now, for most people, I would guess
You're ruining it.
They're ruining it or playing with fire. They're dancing lines that they shouldn't even be anywhere near with the remake. And so I hope in the time that they have remaining, they turn this shit around and get the shit pointed in the right direction, and make some better judgment calls. Because while this might be one of those games that sells big in the first week, if it's going to be something like this, I can see the sales literally dropping off a cliff.
Oh yeah.
So fast, and returns happening, and people just dumpstering it. And I think if they fuck this up, it's going to hurt the sales of any Final Fantasy that comes after it for at least the next few years.
They're going to be angry.
Because people are going to be salty as fuck.
After 15 and after 13.3 and 15, yeah.
Yeah, they need something positive.
They're on strike 2 already.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
it is what it is. We'll see what happens.
Let's hope for the best. We're all pulling for it to be good because I think we all want to be able to play it and like it.
Oh, I'm praying to the gods.
I'd love it. I'd love to see it happen. Next up, something positive, guys. We're gonna get to be positive. Wonder Woman, as hoped, is apparently straight fucking fire. Mr. Black, how excited are you for DC that they actually have something that they can talk to people about and not cringe at the same time?
Yeah, I'm very, very pumped. And there's a lot of DC haters out there. A lot of DC haters out there. A lot of Marvel fanboys out there. And even the critics that are on Team Marvel, they are putting down their egos and they are admitting defeat here. And it's not even so much defeat, but everybody is celebrating Not only DC's first great superhero movie, but many things have happened here. The first is DC's great movie. So that happened. The second thing is we have a woman that is starring in a major motion picture superhero movie, and it doesn't suck. And apparently she's not a damsel in distress. She's not a Mary Sue.
She owns the role.
She absolutely embodies the role, apparently. And also, the movie director is a female as well and was given the biggest budget a female movie director has ever received, and once again knocked it out of the park. So not only is this great,
a perfect movie for that to be attached to, right? Like how fucking how fucking movie-esque is that in and of itself? Wonder Woman is the one that the female director gets that
Wonder
money.
Woman brand.
Yeah, and it's not only just the Wonder Woman brand, but it is a DC in general. They had everything against them here. The pressure was probably indescribable. If they fucked up this movie, and even if the movie came out okay, if it came out like Batman v Superman, where it was like, you've got some serious haters, you've got some people that really liked it, and you got people in the middle that are just like, it wasn't bad. That's kind of where I'm at. It wasn't bad. It was, the editing was bad and a few other things were bad, but Ben Affleck was great, and, it is what it is. It was decent. But the fact that they overcame all that and the amount of pressure that the studio must have been in, the actors, the actresses, the director, everybody involved, everyone. There was so much on the line, and the fact that Gal Gadot came out and fucking owned this role, who is a relatively unknown actress, to come out and do this and become a superstar overnight. They opened like $18 million on a Thursday night, which is insane.
Nuts.
On a Thursday is absolutely crazy.
Getting the club turned up. Oh no!
Yeah, it's
what was it, Thursday?
Crazy. The movie will probably do probably 150 million. The opening weekend, I would imagine here.
I think they're gonna be $1 billion at least.
Oh, I guarantee it's $1 billion movie. Just the word of mouth alone. I think they're a 94, 93 on Rotten Tomatoes right now. And they were like a 97 before Friday, and the fact that it's now out and all of the critics are still at like a 90-something%, that is huge. And considering so many people have had a DC chip on their shoulder, a lot of critics almost wanting these guys to fail at this point for ruining, in their eyes, so many great characters and or not giving it the service it needs. Not only is this a big step for DC, but and I called it out. I know we had a podcast not long ago, and I said, I think Wonder Woman's going to be great. I think it's going to succeed. But now I have full, I'm feeling good about the Justice League now. Even though Justice League is a longer movie, the fact that they did this right, I'm going to give them the benefit. Oh, I'm going to see the movie tomorrow, by the way. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going tomorrow.
I haven't seen
Shitty
it
thing
either.
about this podcast is every Friday night, my Friday nights are taken up, so I can't go see the release on Friday night. So it's either I go late Thursday at like a 10 o'clock showing, or I have to wait till Saturday. So I'm going to go tomorrow night, and I'll give you guys my actual thoughts on it next week. But I'm feeling really good about this. What about you, Panic?
I've been excited for it. It was on the list of when we were gonna watch. The other media company I work for, our editor actually went and watched it last night and produced their video this morning. And she never doesn't have a comment. She always has like a full on, like very strong opinion. She has hated the DC franchise for the reasons you mentioned, for ruining it. And literally she was speechless for how good this movie was. She's already made plans to go see it another 2 or 3 times, which is extremely rare for her to actually go see a movie multiple times in the theaters. So like for me to see that, I was like, all right, this movie seems really legit. Like You know, we have people who do this all the time saying, "Oh my God, you need to watch it."
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you, because again, like DC movies have been absolute shit, and I absolutely hate having to shit on DC for producing shit movies. So when someone comes out and says, "Hey, this movie's really good," I'm like, "Yes, thank you."
I'm not gonna lie,
I know
dude.
you can do it, DC.
I'm
like,
going into
I'm
this
glad.
movie with such high expectations now that it is
Yeah.
going that I mean, I'm not. I never had my expectations so high that I can't be pleased. Like even when I go into Christopher Nolan movie, I'm expecting an experience. Right? It doesn't matter what it is. My expectations are high when I go in there. I usually satisfied. I'm going in it with the same thing. I'm looking for a superhero movie that is going to rival Civil War, that is going to rival the first Avengers. I want an experience, a cinematic experience, and the best part about it is finally we have a woman leading. And I know I talked in
That's a
great
huge
detail
thing.
about being salty that so many women are leading movies and shit, but the fact that this character is the embodiment of a powerful woman that makes her own decisions and is vulnerable and there's so much to this character that the fact that they didn't doll her up, they didn't oversex her, they didn't overdo all this stuff. They made her the strong character that she is. So I'm hearing, because trust me, if it was any other way, we would hear about it. You know, if she was in there like having a steamy hot sex scene with fucking what's his face, Chris or whatever is
one of the Chris's.
One of the Chris's.
Chris Pine.
Chris Pine. There you go. And she was walking around in some skimpy ass shit the whole time, then yeah, it'd be a problem. But the fact that they paid respect to the character, she looks phenomenal. She's in great shape. She's got that foreign look to her too. Like there's something exotic about her that almost isn't human. Like just her as an actress, as a person. When you see her, the way she talks, the way she presents herself, it's very sexy but strong. It's just done. It just looks like it's packaged so well, dude. I'm pumped. I'm going tomorrow. I'm fucking pumped. Can't wait. IMAX, baby. Woo! Let's go.
Take out with you. Drag him out of the house.
No, I'm very pleased that it's, you know, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about DC, to be completely honest with you. But I'm pleased.
Shelf full of graphic novels from DC.
Yeah, but like I'm pleased. When I say that, I don't mean what I mean is I don't care that they've been, you know, bombing movies. It's whatever to me. You know, it is what it is. But I am happy. For whatever reason, I'm happy for Wonder Woman. I think that at the very least, we're getting. This is now we talked about this. I don't know if this was last week or not, but we talked about how the whole female roles thing feels like it's always forced all the time. Now, obviously, Wonder Woman is going to be Wonder Woman, but it's a role that is strong, and like Jeff just said, apparently it's not over-sexualized, which is the most important part. It's not playing into the usual tropey shit that we get with all this other stuff. It's not like Scarlett Johansson's character in the Marvel series where she's wearing literally clothes that looks like her skin can't breathe for hours at a time. It's a good representation of Wonder Woman, and it's good role model material, which I know is not something that a lot of people think about ever, but it is, and to see it in female form is great. And it's even better. It's not just great that a female leading role superhero movie has happened. It's really nice that it's apparently this fucking good, right? That means that now there is a higher percentage chance we're going to get other female superhero leading role type stuff, or they might get more shine in the other combined movie things like the Avengers and the Justice League shit and whatever else.
Offspring a bunch of movies trying to now have an agenda where, oh, this female thing really works, so let's just go
obviously
females and everything.
Sure, yes, we've already established that needs to be organic. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've established that 1,000 times.
The fact that they got this right and Wonder Woman of all things, and all those points that you made, perfect. Perfect.
It's really good that they did that, and I'm happy for
in
it.
the main role, right? This is
Exactly.
This is that
exactly.
time.
And I think they casted her perfect. I think when I first saw her, when they released who was going to be playing her, I saw her and I was like, this is the new age Wonder Woman. This looks exactly what you would want Wonder Woman to look like. Maybe she won't age as well as the original Wonder Woman because she's literally, apparently, incapable of aging. What's her name?
Gal Gadot?
No. The original Wonder Woman.
Oh, the original Wonder Woman.
Fuck. Oh my god, I know her name. Shit. It's gone now.
Yeah.
It's gone now. But she doesn't age. She's literally immortal. Linda Carter, that's her name. Linda Carter.
Yes.
So it was fun to see her and what's the actress? Is it Gal
Gadot. Yep.
Gadot. What a fucking name that is. That's a name that I'm afraid I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm afraid I'm gonna mispronounce that every time that comes out of my mouth.
Hot. My God,
she's a beautiful woman.
Smoking hot, dude.
She
Her
is.
Smile is absolutely infectious, dude. It is. She's got that
easy there, stalker alert.
She's got
easy
these
there,
eyes, bro. Oh my God, dude. She is a fucking dime piece. An absolute. Oh my God, she is just something special. Jesus,
give Jeff
man,
a couple
I can't wait to
minutes.
see this
Blank
movie.
his camera a bit.
But it was nice. It was nice to see them involve Linda Carter in some of the stuff that they were doing, promotional wise, for the movie and whatnot. I'm just real happy for that this even exists and it's as good as it is. That's all I'm happy with. Will I rush out to go see it? No, because I'm a hermit, and maybe I'll go see it, maybe I won't. But I am happy it's there. I'm eventually going to watch it, whether it's at home or at the theater. But it is good stuff, and I'm happy it's there.
Also, I'm gonna switch this over to Baywatch. So Kale and I went and saw Baywatch 2 days ago.
Tanked.
It's not doing so hot in the box office. Here it is. I'm gonna throw it out there. It wasn't horrible. I had more fun in Baywatch than I did Pirates of the Caribbean. I actually think Baywatch is a better movie than Pirates of the Caribbean. Tell No Dead Man Tale or Tell No Tales or whatever the hell
whatever it's called.
Whatever the fuck it's called. I fell asleep during Pirates of the Caribbean twice. I was out like out cold. It was that bad. I just couldn't stand it.
Oh no, man, you've been taking a lot of naps lately.
Baywatch, I have been. Baywatch is like it's so dumb. It knows exactly what it is. It's like watching the TV show on the big screen. It's got all the big cameos you can think of. It's just so much fun. The Rock is just so charismatic, and every scene that he's in, without him in this movie, it would have been an absolute disaster. I mean, it's already a disaster when you really think about it, but it wouldn't even have been watchable. I've got, my wife, she's soaking wet. You got fucking Zac Efron there. I didn't have to do any work when I got home. There was a lot of dudes in there, but there was a lot of chicks in there. It was like watching a fucking Abercrombie and Fitch or whatever the fuck it's called, a magazine, and it was like a photo shoot, and it was just people in bathing suits saying raunchy jokes that didn't land three quarters of the time. But here's the thing: at the end of the day, it was still fun. It was stupid, dumb fun, and I liked it. I actually had a good time. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, I'd give it a 7. I would give it a fucking 6.5. I'd give it a 6.5. I'd push it to 7 if I was had a few drinks.
I've had so much fun watching The Rock defend this movie on his Twitter. It's been absolutely hysterical. It's literally been whoever the PR people for that movie are, you need to just get rid of them and just put hire The Rock because he's doing a better job than anybody else can possibly do it. The Rock, without saying directly that the movie itself is technically shit, he is saying that fans are still enjoying, like you were saying, Jeff, it is just an enjoyable movie. Is it a good movie? Fuck no, it is not a good movie. But it is an enjoyable movie, which is in the entertainment business, for most people, far more important that they enjoy the movie than it is that the movie is some sort of, miraculously amazing piece of cinematography. Like you said, it's got stuff for it's eye candy for the guys and the girls. The Rock, even Rock is going to be 60 years old and still going to be getting girls off everywhere around the world. Zac Efron, literally.
Zac Efron is literally dropping panties.
I can't count as high as the number of abs Zac Efron has on his body. I don't think I can count that high. It doesn't even make sense anatomically.
Shredded, dude. He's so shredded in this movie.
It's stupid.
I'm feeling like I'm in really good shape. I'm like almost in the best shape of my life right now.
You ain't Zac Efron shape, bro.
And I'm in the movie theater going, what the fuck am I doing with my goddamn life? I am a piece of shit. I feel like the body on this guy is absolutely make a straight man fucking gay as shit. I'm telling you, dude, it's absolutely insane. This dude's body.
He's always been in insane shape to begin with. Like he's like every movie I've ever seen Zac Efron in, he's just ripped to shit. It's just for this movie, he went the extra mile.
Oh,
he was like, you know what? I have
cutting steroids.
Like,
there's no way in fuck he was natural in this movie. There's no way.
I have 8 abs now. I need 12 by the time this movie is ready to shoot. And he made it happen. He invented muscles that didn't exist in other human beings before and added them to his torso. So all the
straight
props,
up, like Bruce
all
Lee.
the props
like,
to
remember
him.
when you see Bruce Lee and he would have muscles in places that you're like, what the fuck? Like, what is that thing? That literally was Zac Efron in this movie. Like,
I don't have that.
It's nuts. Anyway, there you go. That's the movie stuff for this week.
It does look fun. I don't Panic. Do you plan on maybe seeing Baywatch? Do you plan on going and taking it in?
Not on my list.
Watch it on Netflix.
Not on my list. Not on my list.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna watch when it's on Netflix or something else for sure. Yeah. And it's good stuff. It's The Rock. I can't. The Rock's gonna have to do something catastrophic. This is the closest he's been to catastrophic, and yet it's still entertaining to watch. So I mean,
Hercules is worse.
That was pretty rough. That's pretty rough. But that was before The Rock was a movie god, and now he's literally just untouchable. So we'll see what it takes now. He's gonna have to do like a Tooth Fairy remake or some shit. Make this any worse. Gentlemen, it's time for Technical Alpha to move into tech support. So if you gentlemen...
Nice save.
Yeah, that was a save. That was a brain fart turned into a save. Thank you for picking up on that save, Panic. I appreciate pointing it out, bro. But yeah, we're going to be doing technical support. Do you guys have any questions picked out? Panic's usually prepared ahead of time.
But I want Adam to read it because I can't do it justice.
Oh, God. Why am I not logged in right now? Hold on. Yeah, paste it into Discord.
For Adam.
Yeah, because for some reason I'm not logged in. That doesn't make any sense.
All right, so
I haven't even looked at the questions.
Do Panic's one right now, right?
Yes, yeah. So if you haven't picked one, what the ever-loving fuck?
Oh my!
It's not done.
There we go.
What is this? This is a novella. This isn't an actual question.
This is DLC.
The shit is this?
This is DLC.
This is a separate podcast. All right, hold on. All right, I'm a read. Hold on, I gotta change the patch notes real quick and prepare myself for this reading.
It's like your movie voiceover.
Oh my, that's not gonna happen. All right, here we go. All right, I'm gonna try to read this and not crick my neck.
This question is brought to you by Demi Zenith, one of our $10 supporters. Thank you very much, Demi. You're going to now get the Adam Morehouse rendition of your question.
The experience.
Again.
I need several breaths. This is a lengthy one.
What she said. Literally.
It's 2025. Adam, Jeff, and Tabin have just finished streaming the latest Technical Alpha podcast from their studio in Halifax. If only we had a studio, this would be so much better and so much easier.
It's 2025.
Tabin doesn't fly out until tomorrow. So the three guys decide to sit back and hang out for a while. The studio is fully furnished with living and dining areas, a kitchenette, and a bathroom, so it's actually a nice place to hang out even when they're not using it for professional recording. Suddenly, the zombie apocalypse occurs!
Oh my god!
Though the studio's TV and radio equipment, the technical alpha team quickly learn what is happening worldwide and immediately set to barricade themselves in the studio. They take a quick inventory and note that they have enough food for a couple of weeks, if rationed, and a good variety of tools and sports equipment that they had filmed an embarrassing sports DLC for the podcast the previous week to use as weapons. Thankfully, Tabin has this weird habit of bringing 3 sleeping bags with him when he travels up north these days, and between the couches and a random futon mattress that Jeff is storing here, there is a place for everyone to sleep. The studio is able to generate enough power to self-sustain even during winter thanks to modern solar power technology. The last thing they hear from the radio before the transmission is cut is that help is coming, but it could take months.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. In order to effectively manage their survival, the trio have decided to split themselves into 3 primary roles. One is to be in charge of supplies, responsible for managing, rationing, and preparing food and equipment. One is in charge of defense, and is ensuring the studio is always adequately fortified. One is to be in charge of communications and recon, responsible for planning scouting and supply runs, noting down important intel, and making contact with anyone who may be able to help them. When they venture outside, they do it together and try to spend as little time as possible doing so. Who do you think would be best suited for each role and why? Holy fuck.
Wow, we could have.
Can I have a
literally
nap
got rid
now?
of the first 2 paragraphs and just read the last one, and we would have had the same question. But I do
That's
like
a lead
it.
up.
Very creative question there, Demi. Very creative. I like it. Using some imagination, setting the tone. I feel like we need some like background music of some
Some zombie apocalypse shit.
Who would be do we all have to answer this, or we're just kind of?
I guess we all
team it up.
Team it up.
Like we'd have to together. We'd have to figure this out.
We'd have to decide.
So we may as well figure this out,
guys.
as a team.
I hate to let you know this, but the zombie apocalypse is happening, and we need to sort out who's doing what.
Panic is definitely going to be the guy that is rationing and preparing food and equipment. Without a doubt.
I think that's accurate.
I think I'm going to be the dude that's going to be preparing weapons and planning defense and strategies. And I think Adam is going to be the dude that is going to be on communication and planning and scouting and doing supply runs.
You're actually going to send Adam out
the
to
logistical
scout,
stuff.
I'm the
tallest.
In shape in 2025 to be able to handle
I am
this?
the tallest person of all of us. I can just stand in one place and do 90% more work than both of you. So it's all good.
Spin around like a lighthouse.
I'm gonna be just like a lighthouse or satellite. This is gonna be me on the roof, like.
Yeah,
and that's gonna be the whole
that's
show.
What I think. I think those are the roles.
I would agree with that. I agree with that.
I think I can go. I can get on board with that.
I'm not gonna be the guy that's gonna ration food and shit. Like I just don't have patience for that. As for like planning and scouting and stuff, I'm just not very good with directions. I'm not very good at writing things down and shit. But I think I would be very good at dealing with defenses, just making sure everything is secure, having the weapons ready, planning the attacks. Just getting ready to defend.
So as that was a really, yes, exactly. And since that was a pretty easy one to answer, let's follow it up with what is everybody's zombie apocalypse weapon of choice?
Right there.
Lightsabers don't count.
No.
Oh, the shield.
No,
Oh, okay. That's your weapon is a replica Harulian shield, really?
That's an actual shield, bro. Like that is an actual shield.
If you're
like,
gonna use a shield, if you had to choose any weapon, you're gonna grab a
any
fucking
weapon.
shield.
You're gonna use the Hylian shield.
If I can have any weapon, yeah, it'll probably be a flamethrower or something.
A flamethrower. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like
see
a
you're picking
flamethrower
the.
eventually is going to kill yourself, or you're just gonna accidentally burn shit that you shouldn't have burned.
I'm more concerned about the fact that I'm using fuel I could be using for a car versus powering my flamethrower. I feel like that's a dangerous bet. I think
gotta be like a cricket bat or something.
Yeah, I think you just. I think.
Ammo.
How are you supposed to pass up on a machete? Just a machete, all-purpose item and weapon. Give me a machete, a big ass. You know.
I'm probably around the same, but I'll be different just to be different. I'm gonna say a samurai sword, like a very sharp sword, because cutting limbs off and cutting things, and you also don't have to reload anything. You'll have to sharpen it, but you don't. You'll run out of bullets with a gun. You'll run out of gas with a flamethrower. A machete does seem good. A machete is more practical because it's smaller. You can move around faster. It doesn't take as much to swing it. But I'd probably go with the sword just for distance and how sharp it is, just slicing shit up. I'd be like that chick from The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Taking old bitches with a samurai sword.
Yeah. That's what I would do.
Chat just said nunchucks.
Nunchucks! What an incredibly useless friggin' weapon for the zombie apocalypse. Oh my god, that'd be terrible. All right, so that was an elaborate question, Mr. Black. What do you got? You got a shorter question?
Yeah. There's actually not that many questions today. A lot of the pineapple question that we've already answered before. I'm gonna go with. Oh man. I do kind of like this question. I like two of them. Oh, shit.
Maybe we answer three if it's not a long question, so you can pick one and we can see what's up.
I'm gonna go with Stucka87.
Okay.
Who is a $10 supporter, and I do believe our timestamp dude.
Timestamper. Yeah.
He is the timestamp lord.
He said, if you could choose one console to game on for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh God.
That's a good question, and that's a tough one to answer.
And this is assuming, of course, it never breaks and the controllers are always fine.
Yes.
We're not going to be like, we're okay.
Yeah, we're not going to be like, oh,
so
well,
really,
that one, yeah.
It's about the library of games you have available to you, basically, at that point.
Well, I mean, if you pick the PS2, which I'm thinking you're probably going to pick, there's like 2,600 titles on the PS2, but 2,500 of them are pretty bad.
Well, obviously, but I don't mean in terms of sheer volume. I just mean it's whatever ones you'd want to play the most of or have games that you'd be most interested in, right?
It'd be like PS2 or SNES for me. Like, I just have so many awesome memories on the SNES, and there's so many just like timeless games on the older platforms.
Yeah, PC doesn't count. PC does not count.
No, it's not a console.
We're talking console gaming.
Mark said the Switch.
That's
Play the same 3 games over and over again.
You know what? Oh my God, I can't believe I'm gonna say this. I really want to go with the Super Nintendo, but even though that is my favorite console of all time, just because of a few titles, though, it's not because it had an insane library of. Oh, it did have an insane library of great titles, but I'm gonna go ahead and say the PlayStation 2. I'm gonna go with the PlayStation 2.
Very good
system. I was gonna say the PS1
backwards
too,
compatibility. Now, do we have to? Are we allowed to choose one just because it has backwards compatibility? But do we only get to play the PS2 games?
I'm gonna cheat. I was gonna go with the PS2 anyway, but now that you're bringing up the backwards compatibility, there's so many good PS1 games. I'm still gonna go with the PS2 just because I don't give a shit about the PS3. Even though you can do the backwards compatible one, but
barely.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, barely is right. I'm gonna go PS2, and it's only because there are so many JRPGs on the PS2 that would
for years.
Yeah, you could just it's like an endless amount of playing. I feel like the Super Nintendo would be fun. Also, the carts would virtually last forever. Discs do scratch and they do deteriorate over time.
Oh yeah, like we said, we're not talking about,
but we're not getting that
staying
technical.
power.
So yeah, so I'm gonna go with the PS2.
I was gonna say PS2 as well. I mean, it's like it's the easiest choice. You get PS2, you get PS1. It's a massive catalog of games, a lot of long games that have a good chunk of replayability. The controllers aren't the old school controllers that basically destroy your hands after 5 minutes of play. I think the PS2 is the great. That's why when we talked about greatest console of all time, PS2 is greatest console of all time for me, because for that very reason, the catalog is huge. The backwards compatibility is unparalleled to this day. And it's such a huge catalog. So I'll not say PS2 because Jeff said PS2. I'll try and come up with something else. Panic, do you know what you would go with?
As much as I would love to say the PS2, I just have too much nostalgia love for the SNES.
Yeah, I love that choice, dude. If it's the rest of my life,
it's like a toss up between the two. I'd be happy with either of them. Like I wouldn't complain.
Yeah.
I will do the one that nobody would ever pick in the history of ever, because I would assume that I would only end up playing like 5 games.
Dude, if you say the original Xbox, this is done.
That's what I'm saying.
You're just gonna play Fable, aren't you? Fable all day.
I'm gonna play Morrowind. I mean, half my life will be loading times. This is Morrowind, Project Gotham Racing, Jet Set Radio, Future,
Halo
and
2.
and Halo and Halo 2 would be like, sure, done, great. And a handful of other titles that were there that weren't like god tier titles, but they were titles nevertheless. That I enjoyed. Shit, even Myst is on Xbox, bro. I can play Myst again on Xbox.
Yeah.
So I'll go.
Different Mysts are on Xbox. There's one called Revelation.
Revelations 4.
Yeah, they've got the regular Myst. There's all kinds of those types of games. So.
Yeah,
I still think it's
I'm gonna go.
Pick, but you're just doing it out of spite. So
OG. Well, not out of spite. I mean, ultimately, yeah, like it'd be hard to not say PS2, but there are a lot of games in my top 10 that are on the original Xbox. So why not? Why not take original Xbox? What was the other question that you were having a hard time picking between?
Yeah, we'll do this one quick. Where is it? Shit, man. Okay, it was basically I want to get the name because I want to give him a shout out. Basically, somebody said
I have all the names in front of me.
Yeah, somebody said is there you said that there's perfect movies out there and
oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, like what is your
what is a perfect movie?
What is your perfect movie?
I think I know what.
That's from Joe Racicot. He's a $10 pledge.
Joe?
I think I know Jeff's perfect movie.
Joe Racicot.
I see it now.
I'm sorry if I butchered your name.
Yeah, my apologies. He said something Jeff said from last podcast. What is the perfect movie? And for all of you, which film is that is already out that has come closest to being the perfect movie? So he's basically asking us, is there such thing as a perfect movie in your eyes? And if so, what is that perfect movie? If you can think of one.
I think I know Jeff's.
I know mine. I have my reasoning behind it too.
Well, go ahead.
Yep. So for me, the perfect movie is not like it's just structurally there's some things like a movie should have, especially on like the story, like how they intro the story, how the conflict and like the whole story and the screenplay is written. That's like a big part of it. Like how they reveal the characters, how the characters develop, and then ultimately the payout at the end. In addition to the cinematography and all that other stuff. I don't personally believe that there is actually a perfect movie out there. I don't think there ever will be, but the closest one so far, even after all these years, I'm going to say is Shawshank Redemption.
That's where I'm at.
Because Yeah, because again, cinematography wise, every shot had its importance and the way it was set up. The storyline had its beginning, it had the build up, it had the characterization, it had your payoff at the end, and it played to all the points of what a screenplay kind of should have. And and the big thing is it's timeless. Like there's a reason they show it on TV all holiday season, all the time. And it's still a satisfying movie to watch, even for the 40th time.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
I'm
gonna go ahead and call it a perfect movie. I can't think of something that is wrong with the film. I mean, I'm not a film critic, and obviously, film, music, everything is subjective. But seeing as though it is one of the highest rated movies of all time, the fact that you said they do play it a lot. Who doesn't like a good prison movie? Like, who just doesn't like a good prison movie? It's the best prison movie ever made. It's, in my opinion, it's the greatest movie ever made.
It's one of the greatest movies, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely in the top 3 of greatest movies ever made. And I think that's not even subjectively. I think that's objectively. It is.
It's hard to quantify why, but it's just like everything in that movie hit kind of perfectly
it's
where
the
it needed
development.
to hit.
It's the development of the characters in it. It's the real the casting, realness, the heart to it. The acting was just so well done. Everybody was relatable, and they didn't glorify prison. It was there's something innocent about it, but so real and tragic, yet happy. It's that movie that just makes you feel good, but makes you feel sad, and makes you care about people.
It's a long ass movie, but you don't feel like you've wasted any time at the end of it.
Yeah, it's just so good. I'm right with you. Shawshank. We're both done. That's it. I mean, I could talk about Shawshank. I've seen it so many times.
I think Shawshank is. I agree. Shawshank's probably one of the greatest movies ever made. I am the furthest thing from a movie critic. I can, if something is particularly bad or particularly amazing that it stands out to me. The middle ground stuff all blends together in terms of cinematography and stuff. I'm not somebody who's going to sit there and pick apart a fucking thing and say, this scene didn't need to be here, this was superfluous, it was just, so yeah, I agree though that Shawshank, for example, it stands out because even to somebody like myself, everything had its place. It was there for, a reason, and it flowed, and even in its length, it didn't feel like a long movie because everything had its place, and it flowed so well, and the characters were built properly, and so on and so forth. For me, when I think of perfect movies, I think of it more of on a subjective thing. What's a perfect movie for me? What is a perfect movie? What does a movie have to do where, or not necessarily what does a movie have to do, but what movies feel like to me that I can go back to them and watch them at any point in time, because what more can you ask from a movie personally, not from a technical standpoint necessarily, but what more can you ask from a movie personally if it's something that you can go back to and watch almost any day of the week, 5 or 6 times in a week? It doesn't seem to matter. The movie is you like it that fucking much. That's, what I look when I think of what's a perfect movie. And I think everybody has a handful of movies, whether they are good or bad movies. It doesn't seem, I don't think that matters. But those movies that you can go back to and watch 1,000 times, like Jeff's, Dusk Till Dawn or whatever, you could probably watch 7 days a week and probably never get tired of fucking watching that movie.
Home Alone. I can watch
Home Alone.
Exactly. Never hate
I think everybody's got those movies. For me, I have a handful of them, but what I think was actually just a really good movie in general, and I think of also movies that I recommend to people that are movies that anyone can watch and get something out of it. Good Will Hunting is on my short list for movies that I always tell people about. Is it a Shawshank Redemption? No, but it's a fucking good movie. It's similar to Shawshank. There isn't a lot of frivolous shit in that movie in terms of scenes that didn't need to necessarily be there. You could maybe pick out 1 or 2 small 2-minute long scenes that could have been cut out, but it's a pretty well-made movie. And just like with Shawshank, like Jeff was saying, where it's relatable, people are relatable, the character development's really good. It makes you care for people.
Film. That's what it
exactly.
is, right? You care about the characters.
It's just a really fucking good movie, and there are not a lot of movies
also for me.
that give you a serious feels train, or give me a serious feels train. And I know it's poked fun of a lot on the internet, but the "it's not your fault" scene, if you take the joke of the internet out of it, is a goddamn fucking awesome scene. That is a really good piece of film right there, and it comes from it's Rob Williams, who you don't necessarily always automatically associate with dramatic acting, and here he is in this movie, and I think it's one of his best movies, if not his best movie in a dramatic role, killing it. And then another scene in the opposite direction, where they're sitting there joking about Rob Williams in this movie, his character's dead wife, and where they Rob Williams goes and ad-libs that story, and you get the genuine laughter from Matt Damon in that scene, and it's just so good, and it's just so natural, and everything felt natural. It felt like I was like watching just somebody's actual life unfolding, and it was fucking awesome. So that's one of my movies that I would go to for that would be Good Will Hunting. Panic, what was the one you just mentioned while I was talking? I didn't hear.
Rounders,
yeah.
Which one's that? I know I've never seen it. I've never even heard of it. So what is it?
Matt Damon, Edward Norton poker movie. I highly recommend you watch it, actually. It's not a long movie. It's kind of in the vein of hardcore, like Good Will Hunting. Yeah. It's like not in the same like style, but it's the same like, type of movie. And it's just a very good character movie, I think. And it plays out well. Again, the story and the pacing is good. It's no Shawshank, but it's a very good movie.
Yep.
I feel like you might enjoy it.
It's good, man. It's good. Yeah, so we got three of them in today. Let us know in the comments what your guys' perfect movie is in your eyes. Once again, it's it is subjective. So, your perfect movie might be fucking RoboCop 1. I have no idea. But you can explain why in the comment section, which is always good. And then of course, share the podcast. Go tell a friend. Go tell a friend about this. And go hit up that motherfucking Patreon page. We almost at that 5K.
So
go
close.
hit it up. Just go hit it up.
So close. We're just talking about movies. We're just talking about movies. What if the three of us sat down and watched The Shawshank Redemption and talked about it?
Well, we can do that at 5K.
If we choose to make that the goal now, which again, let us know on Patreon if you're already a Patreon, or on YouTube, wherever you can leave a comment. Let us know if that sounds like a better thing, if you guys rather us do that instead of answering more questions separately outside of the podcast, which was the original goal, and a lot of people did seem to be interested in that. But if you would rather us move the movie thing into that slot, then let us know. Or if you have other ideas too, by all means, let us know what your ideas might be. But yeah, that is Technical Alpha episode 12, gentlemen. We have come to another end, to a beautiful podcast, a nice little package for everybody to listen to while they're on their way to work, or trying to forget the fact that they're at work, which many people, I believe, do with this piece of entertainment. So, gentlemen, any closing thoughts? Anything before we send this out to the thank you page?
No.
You guys are awesome. That's all I got. You guys are awesome.
There you go.
I love you.
There you go. It's true. You guys are freaking killing it right now, really helping us grow, and we appreciate that every single week. For those of you watching live, of course, we will be back same time, same place next Friday, so you can look forward to that. And same goes for everybody listening at home on iTunes. You're going to get this coming up next week, so you can look forward to it. Thank you once again for listening, and until we see you guys next time, have a good one. Peace. Wait, back that up. Before we go, I need to read some names. My God, I had this whole outro thing done, and now I've got to back it up because I fucked it. I ruined it, boys! I fucked up.
So well. We were going
so well. It was doing so well. It was such a buttery finish. And here we are. Hey, Beastall, you're a god. Just thought I'd let you know that. I just thought I'd let you know that, Beastall. You're an absolute legend at the $1,000 tier. You're an absolute god. You're an absolute god. Also, Jetrix for stepping up to 500.
Yes.
Also a god.
You're a beautiful person.
Just want to toss that one out as well. I can't hear you over the sound of how fucking awesome you are right now, so I apologize for my lack of hearing. Mr. Miyagi, what's that? You also like to play amongst the clouds in your godlike status? Yes. You too, at your tier, an absolute legend. And not to be outdone are the other legends. Postal Panda, Jamaican Jazz, Adam B, Toad of Steel, Naily, J.A., Derek P, Fry C, and Ice Wolfie. I don't know if you guys are recognizing this. There are some serious repeat offenders here that have been tossing in $100 for some time.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. We have what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots open still for the 100. Beastall, the god. I mean, he's
still at it.
He is absolutely still. I think he went in at 5, and then he went up to a K, and he's still sitting there. Jet just going from 50 to 500, and Miyagi holding it fucking steady at the 250, and all those $100 soldiers out there. That is absolutely incredible, guys. It's mind-boggling. It's literally mind-boggling. So we love you guys and everyone. I mean, we don't want to downplay the dollars, the 5s, the 25s, the 50s.
No,
but when you look at a page like that,
and promote, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's absolutely everybody that's supporting the podcast. You're allowing us to take this next venture, and we're having fun. Hopefully, you guys can tell by that, and we're being consistent. We're showing up every week. We're getting it done. We're doing what we said we would. And up next is all those deliverables. I can't wait for all that to come out so that you guys can have your swag and all that fun shit. So thanks again, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, now I can smoothly outro because we've done everything that needs to be done. So once again, want to thank you guys for coming out and listening live. Thank you on YouTube for watching and listening, and everybody at home listening on iTunes, Google Play, and beyond. Everywhere we've plastered this bad boy. We appreciate you putting ears to the earphones and listening up every week here at Technical Alpha. We'll see you guys next week, and until we do, have a good one, and for real this time, peace!